effort. I'ma take it to another level. I made some mistakes, I should be dead.
I can't check it on my phone.
What'd you say?
You need to bring your phone up. Like my phone's playing the music. I need your phone.
I always go like 10 for 10, I never miss.
I was about to grab it and I was like, wait a minute.
Doesn't make any sense.
And I'm the greatest now, I said it before I knew that. I'm the greatest. I'm way too connected, I can't never stop. I'm way too protected, I can't never fly. And not a spirit in me, I can't wait to pop. They hate on me, but bump my music, is it hate or not? When I'm in the building, they feel it on sight. They can't help but see me cause I am the light. I don't need the recognition, I'm just sick of repetition. I learned about manifesting, then became the definition. I'm the man, yeah, I'm Peter.
I got one more backup here, Dean.
I had to take a stand, I got a second chance. This been in the plan, now it's in my hands. Time to get them bands.
Testing.
I don't want to be too sober and say a bunch of dumb shit.
I'ma take it to another level. I made some mistakes, I should be dead. But I still woke up this morning, I'm too blessed. When I shoot it,
Oh, thanks, buddy.
I always go like 10 for 10, I never miss.
Good.
They sleep on me, I hate it when they do that. And I'm the greatest now, I said it.
We're live.
Giggity.
Not yet.
No, not like.
We're not live yet.
All right, cool.
I just talk to God, so I ain't got no worries. Come put 30 on my jersey, I can't miss like Curry. I can't ever miss. They doubted me just like Goliath did David. Can I contain it? It's so many blessings.
Who is this?
That I'm famous.
Who is this? This is Kieran the Light. And what's awesome is that he gave me permission to use this on my podcast, which is really
No
awesome.
way.
Yeah, no, it's awesome.
Cool.
Welcome everybody. Welcome to Pro Stupid Podcast number 6.5 because last night was a little bit of a disaster, but made it so tonight will flow a lot easier. Tonight we have me, Vincent Anthony, bringing you a couple of my friends. It's been a long time since I've seen both of them. It's a good time. Yeah, too long. So we're going to be talking about the Matt Taibbi drop with the Twitter files, which happened last night. So obviously I'm Vincent Anthony. This is Russ Dunleavy. Introduce yourself.
He was right, Ross Dunleavy. It's my buddy Dean.
How you doing? My name's Dean Veliker. Excited
Definitely
to be on the podcast.
Definitely didn't both bail out of Carnegie Mellon. Only righteous, responsible things.
Yeah, no, dude, it's a hard school just to get into. So anyways, I guess we'll just start right up with this, and eventually we'll filter out into probably stupid nonsense. But Matt Taibbi, which most people know, is a reporter. He released the Twitter files. I'll read some of them, and then we can eventually interject and stuff like that. So anyways, we tried to do this last night, fell apart. But so anyways, thread number 1, Twitter files, part 6, Twitter, the FBI subsidiary. Being on that committee, you should know how much has been spent and how many DHS and DOJ employees have been assigned to monitoring and flagging social media. Why is the FBI asking for location information about ordinary Americans and the media outlet like RSB Network? Yeah. So next one was, what law enforcement objective is served by asking for Billy? Oh, wait, I think I didn't even go into the thread, actually. Oops, sorry, guys. That's my fault. But no, anyways.
Stop the podcast.
Anyway, so that's new. That's actually, so they're asking about people's locations. Anyways, all right, number 2. The Twitter files are revealing more every day about how the government collects, analyzes, and flags your social media content. 3. Twitter contact with the FBI was constant and pervasive, as if it were a subsidiary. Between January 2020 and November 2022, there were over 150 emails between the FBI and former Twitter Trust and Safety Chief Yoel Roth. 5. Some are mundane, like San Francisco agent Elvis Chan wishing Roth a happy new year, along with a reminder to attend our quarterly call next week. Others are requests for information to Twitter users related to active investigations. To me, it's so obvious that he's a reporter because he's trying to soften the beginning. He's like, some were just innocent things like happy birthday, or what are you doing next week?
Others were mid-January Happy New Year's. Like, what the fuck was that about?
It's way past that. What are you trying to get at?
Not to rip off Larry David's whole.
All right, I'll go and try and get into the meat of this. Number 6. But a surprising number of high requests are by the FBI for Twitter to take action on the election misinformation, even involving joke tweets from low follower accounts. The FBI social media focused task force, known as the FTIF, created in the wake of the 2016 election, swelled to 80 agents and corresponded with Twitter to identify alleged foreign influence and election tampering of all kinds. Number 8. Federal intelligence and law enforcement reached into Twitter, including the Department of Homeland Security, which partnered with security contractors and think tanks to pressure Twitter to moderate content. 9. It's no secret the government analyzes bulk data for all sorts of purposes, everything from tracking terror suspects to making economic forecasts. Number 10, the Twitter files show something new. Agencies like the FBI, DHS, regularly sending social media content to Twitter through multiple entry points, pre-flagged for moderation. So
that sounds big.
Yeah, no. So what it's literally saying is, I've been kind of coining the phrase. I didn't make it up. I forget who did, but I've been saying it's kind of seems like they've been what is
Outsourcing tyranny.
Yes, you remembered. They're outsourcing tyranny because the government could never get away with it. But
Yeah, but who's publishing this content that the FBI and DHS is sending to Twitter? Is
Twitter.
it Yeah, in what capacity though is what I'm wondering.
and Elon giving Matt Taibbi access to the tweets between these people, between the former and their emails and stuff. That's why it's so groundbreaking, and that's why they use Matt Taibbi, because Matt Taibbi would normally not be, you know what I mean? He likes a lot of the people that are on this side, but he's saying, yo, like, you're in bed with government. This could be, imagine the other way. Imagine if conservatives were doing this on our thing. Like, you'd be pissed. So
Yep.
yeah. So number 11, what stands out is the sheer quantity of reports from the government. Some are aggregated from public hotlines. So I guess this is them just, election day protocol for FBI headquarters is to stand up to National Election Command Post, which provides a centralized location for assessing election-related threats. Status reports and complaints are tracked. So they had like a tip line almost, which is interesting. Number 12. And I answer question, do agencies like the FBI and DHS do in-house flagging work themselves or farm it out? You have to prove to me that the inside of effing government, you can do any kind of massive data or AI search, says one former intelligence officer. Hello, Twitter contacts. The master canine quality of the FBI's relationship to Twitter comes through in this November 2002 email in which the FBI San Francisco is notifying you it wants action on 4 accounts. So then it shows that, the FBI is saying, yo, FBI San Francisco is notifying you that below accounts may potentially constitute violation of Twitter terms of service for any action and inaction deemed appropriate for Twitter policy. So they're
Look at the date on that. That's
November
just
10th.
like
Yeah.
a month ago.
yeah.
Weeks ago.
So it's just a good ID. But yeah, so that's like saying, and then Fred, FBI, San Francisco. You know what I mean? Like, the FBI, instead of looking into, I think that's the thing where people are going like, yo, you guys should be like tracking down like terrorists and like sex offenders. Instead, you're like, yo, there's a tweet. There's a tweet, man. And it's wrecking people's. It's a little crazy, the fact that we have to.
Well, I guess, I don't know. Unfortunately, I can barely read or think anymore, so a lot of that went right over my head, and
It's all good, man.
I-
There's a bunch more.
I've missed the boat on most of the Twitter stuff in general.
I mean, dude, to sum it up in like a couple sentences, basically what's been happening is the FBI has been like moderating social media and making heavy-handed suggestions on people that should be banned or shadow banned.
My question is, why was Twitter complying? Like, what's the upside for them?
And there's a lot of
Because-
conspiracy
because-
theories
because-
about that.
Well, there's conspiracy, but there's
Because
also just
is
simple
this-
things of they align politically. So
Yeah,
why
but
not?
Is that enough to, like, I don't know. It's a bad look. And, more's going to come out. I just don't see why you would want to do this and like what the purpose is, just other than just hating the other party.
Yeah, no, it's bad. That's why I think yeah.
This type of thing, you would think there's some other type of incentive, but there's no reason for us to believe
Well,
that.
there could. I'm not saying that it couldn't be for political gain or whatever other purposes, but there, like I was saying pre-pod when we were just talking, like, as much as we all love free speech, rightfully so, it to an extent it is still a virtue among virtues, and like that teacher at CMU was saying, speech isn't necessarily truly free. It has consequences. Like
But
you can't-
jokes?
Right, but it has
No, not jokes, but
it has consequences later on, not as like a, oh, this is bad, we need to stop this, preempt it. Like that's the difference. Is like your argument is you can't go into a crowded room and yell fire.
right.
Technically you can do that. What should be and what hopefully is the consequences for doing so when there isn't a fire causing a panic like that are probably, and if they're not, should be very severe.
Yeah, if people get hurt while it happens, you know
Like,
what I mean?
you know,
if you go into an empty room and scream
so you-
fire,
it's you
But
can
or-
do these things. It's just the consequences should be equitable, and
Definitely.
free speech is still free. You can say any horrible thing you want. It was Vinny, who was it? It was Kill Tony, I think it was. There was the black stand up dude and Theo Vaughn, and he asked them to do like a role playing situations, like a comedic sketch, and he asked them to play his girlfriend, the Theo Vaughn, a white dude, whose girlfriend just broke up with this black comedian, and he asked if he could say the N word, and the black comedian was like, "Dude, you can say whatever you want, but when you step out of here, I can't help you." So free speech is
Yeah.
free. You can say whatever you want, but
I can
you have to-
say it. No,
Yeah.
okay.
but you got to deal with those consequences, man.
Yeah,
Like,
well,
it's-
that's the sense that
Yeah,
it's
exactly.
not free. Like I can't say, oh yeah, I've got your daughter. Give me $20,000 at the at this address. Like like
I have a
there's certain
daughter.
things- And like so some of the examples that I think came into play with Twitter would be, Trump inciting people to go to the Capitol, coronavirus potential misinformation. Whether you agree that he should be allowed to say it past a certain point or what that point is or not, you can at least see how it could lead to.
But how do you find out
Potential dangers.
misinformation
Who's the
without
arbiter
arguing?
of truth?
There you go.
Yeah, no, that's fair. That's fair.
That's the issue because
Yeah.
right now it's apparently the FBI being the arbiter of
and that's
truth.
the problem. The
And-
FBI should not
yeah,
be the arbiter. of
And why are these people at Twitter? Why were they listening
Yeah.
and
All
following
right,
along?
let's continue because there's only we'll get through the whole thing and then eventually we can get to other stuff. But Twitter personnel in the case went on to look for reasons to suspend all 4 accounts, including Forma, whose tweets were almost all jokes, including his civic misinformation on November 9th. Now, or November 8th. I could go through it. I pretty much I trust that they're jokes. Obviously, this one seems pretty funny, where it's like a crate, like a boat holding one of these crates.
Just read it. Just bring it up, bro.
You want to bring it up? I'll bring it up. Fine,
Yeah,
sure,
it
let's
sounds
do
funny.
it.
Looks funny.
I don't want to get pulled too far.
Oh, yeah. Oh.
Yeah. Wow. Let's see. I might have to just full screen it.
Better not be my boat.
Of course, this is.
I said that.
Yeah, it's
Hold up.
being freaking weird.
not working
This
right.
part. Yeah, that's why I wanted to. Anyways, TD perspective. So we could probably surmise some. Suspend 3 accounts for multiple account abuse and ban evasion. Let's see what the other thing is. Maybe I can. Oh, there we go. All right. Thanks, Pat. I'll escalate to get this first pass. FBI. I've reviewed this already from the TD perspective. Suspended 3 accounts for multiple account abuse and ban evasion violations. Rodrigo, could you please, whatever for possible civic misdemeanor, or direct it appropriate to get to their review? Thanks. Anyway, so there's that, and then I could probably get to the other frame.
You got to talk into the mic and
Yeah,
louder.
no, we're good. I'm just going through here. So I guess this is was container ship worldwide recession. So yeah, and this is like, you know what I mean? Like the
You got
FBI.
flagged for that?
Yeah, that's what they're saying. They're like, what? It's
Clearly a joke.
it's petty bullcrap. And
Wow.
it's, you know what I mean? It's one of those things where it's like, it's stupid. If you really think it, the best way to
Right.
put it is, it's insane. Anyways, let's move on because obviously,
I don't even get it. I probably just dumb.
just to show the FBI can be hyper intrusive in both directions, they also asked Twitter to review Blue Leaning account for a different joke. Except here, it was even more obvious that whoever this is, we'll put it up, that lady, Dr. Foster, who kids a lot, was kidding. So she put up a thing. You guys want to read it? Hello, Twitter contacts. FBI San Francisco is notifying you on the below account activities which may potentially constitute violations of Twitter's terms of service for any action or inaction deemed appropriate within Twitter policy. Thank you. Yeah.
See, that's interesting because they're framing it that, hey, they're breaking your terms, so we're not doing anything wrong. We're just pointing something out. We're just pointing out where people aren't obeying, and we think you should ban them, or what have you.
Yeah, no, it's the FBI helping out Twitter for whatever reason in these weird
Right.
things. It's definitely super odd and
It is.
not, you know what I mean? Like,
It's not something that warrants being banned.
yeah, exactly. So what you
And
say?
what was the date on that last?
I'm a
one?
ballot.
That was before the election, right?
Yeah, I'm a ballot counter in my state. If you're not wearing a mask, I'm not counting your vote. For every negative comment on this post, I'm adding another vote for Democrat. So she was, she's making again.
She's being satirical about
she's
how
trying to-
ridiculous.
And it's funny
Democrats
because
are.
someone being right wing, of course, this is supposed to make someone like me upset. But I sit there and go, like, she's obviously kidding. If she was gonna do that, she would never post about it.
Right. Right.
Yeah, like it's kind of crazy. All right, I don't know why it keeps going back to 14. Did I miss something? Is someone trying to tell me something? Anyways, all right. Number 16. Anyone who cannot discern obvious satire from reality has no place making decisions for others or working for the feds. That's what that lady, Dr. Foster, said when told about the flagging. Which she's right. You know what I mean? If you really think about it, she's like, if you can't tell the difference between a joke, why are you making decisions about this? Which, to me, is kind of one of the biggest problems with the modern left is they don't like jokes. They don't think that jokes are like a part of, you know what I mean, the discourse. When I
Well,
think sometimes people
My
need-
opinion there is I didn't know anything about this woman, so when I first saw that tweet, I didn't know what her background was, and that's where it could be a little iffy, I guess. But at the same time, like, this woman isn't, a government official or holds no real power. So
Does seem like a save some time for the really dangerous tweets kind of thing.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
On
Dude,
that,
we have
yeah.
what, the Ayatollah and stuff like that online.
Right.
We have the Taliban's online, but we're good. You know what I mean? Of 6 accounts mentioned, the previous 2 emails, all but 2 from these 2 people were suspended. In Intel email from November 5th, 2022, the FBI National Election Command Post, which complies and sends complaints, sent the SF field office a long list of accounts that they want to that may want additional action. So then they sent this whole, pretty much just sending over a hit list, being like, "Yo, we don't like what these people are saying. Do
Well,
something."
because
about it."
is it possible that it might have violated their terms? I mean, because there's also a difference between free speech and what you're allowed to say based off the Twitter bylaws.
Of course,
right?
but at the same time, this is
And-
also the FBI. Literally, the
right.
FBI's got better things to do, yo. There's kids
That's
being
probably
sex
fair.
trafficked.
I mean,
Can we at least acknowledge that, like, when they banned Trump off of Twitter, he got reinstated when Elon came back, and it was because Elon found that he broke no rule of Twitter's platform.
really?
Yes.
See, I can't.
He
speak for-
that's what I'm saying. He only reinstated him because he didn't break a rule that was explicitly, like, written in their terms and conditions. So what I'm saying is, like, they wrongfully banned him for, like, whatever you think he did. Technically, he didn't break any of their rules. If you want to, like, deem that he incited something with what he said, you can make your argument for that. I don't believe it in any way, shape, or form. But
You're
I'm
saying based on the bylaws, he didn't.
based
break 'em.
on what Twitter's rules and conditions were, he didn't break anything. So Elon brought him back. So what I'm saying is, like, they don't even care what their own rules and terms are.
Right.
This is like a cover. This
Well,
is
to
like
be
a nice bow to put on things and make it not look like the turd that it is.
Yeah.
By saying, "Oh, you might need to review these accounts because of what may or may not be in your terms and conditions, and if these people break any of it." It's just like a very clean way to say we want these people banned, and it could be breaking your rules, but
Okay,
they
so-
never do.
I passed over some, not even noticed. So what actually happened here, because I read the next one before we went, is so the FBI's National Election Command Post, so the people that are supposed to be, I guess, like, guarding the election or looking over the election, sent this over to Agent Chan, who then passed this over to his Twitter folks. So the thing is, we have people, like, there's literally, so that, remember they said the agents, the 80 agents, they
It
literally,
sounds made up.
I know, dude, they literally grew a branch of the government to just deal with tweets,
Yeah.
which is crazy. Like, it's like, I don't know. To me, it's just one of those things. It's not a government arm. If Twitter wanted to, they could have been like, no, but they didn't. They decided they wanted to comply with this overreach. You know, that's why
Well, and that's kind of like where I was talking about the conspiracy thing. Is there's like a theory that the FBI has something on these people in positions of power, potentially like Yoel Roth and like the people that approved all this stuff and were like the gatekeeper for getting people banned and like moderating the rules and stuff. So there's a theory that they had something over
It's
him.
either that or there was some other type of incentive.
Right.
Well,
right.
look, let's look at this. The Sam Bankman-Fried thing is going to be real interesting. The fact that it's tied to Democrat donor accounts.
Well,
You know what I
notice he got arrested the night before he was supposed to testify.
Yeah, exactly. Because it's one of those things where it's the thing is there's a lot of people who I like that are left leaning, but I think the establishment that's behind it, not that Republicans are any better, but it's become egregious. That's how I see it. I believe it's become egregious to the point where it's like, even if I was more liberal, I would not want these. Dude, talking to some people on Twitter Spaces, I've talked to people who don't agree with me on anything, but their thing is like, I don't want these people representing me because what they're doing is just giving us lip service. Have we gotten anything that we've actually wanted from them? Have we gotten any closer to universal health care? Have I gotten any closer to any of these
Great
things? No, that's the thing.
Well,
And
the
there's
Republicans have cock blocked a lot of stuff, to be fair. But so I also missed the boat with a lot of the Bankman-Fried stuff. But I mean, I've heard like some of the tent poles or whatever of the story. But backtracking to Trump specifically on Twitter, perhaps to Twitter's credit, I think we would at least acknowledge that Trump is an unusually influential person on Twitter. I believe he had the biggest Twitter following, period.
he does.
Dude, he had journalists dedicated to writing stories up about his
Yeah, there's
tweets.
people that when he left, the reply guys, as they call them, literally were like, I don't know what to do with my life.
And I'm not saying there should necessarily be a different set of bylaws, but
See, Dean.
it was literally January 6th he was officially banned.
more in the middle.
I'm pretty sure about that.
Good.
Okay.
And I watched all the January 6th hearings, and it's a fine line between, when you tell the biggest Twitter following in the world, come to the Capitol, fight like hell.
That's not what he
But
said.
he also said, no, he did say that.
He did
But
say
he
that.
also, but at his speech, he also said peacefully march. He said, and that's the
Right,
things
but
they
is he
took
just
down.
protecting himself? Maybe not. But here's the thing. It's an unusual situation, so I can at least see why Twitter would err on the side of caution. And they're like, "Holy shit, we have the Proud Boys, we have what's the other group, violent group? They're making plans
Did
to
they ban any of the people that were organizing on Twitter that were burning down all those cities in the summer?
Yeah,
of
the
love with
thing
George
is,
Floyd?
it's the
Because
one way.
that was way more
it's the one-way
destructive and way
street
more
is the
people
problem.
died.
That's fair enough. I mean, it's whataboutism
And that-
to an extent.
it's not a whataboutism, it's
You
a
pull
fact.
over the speeder you see. Maybe they didn't do that as much for politics, but Trump is unusually influential. And January 6th was bad, guys. I'm not saying it's
No one
you don't
says
have
that
to
January
think it's
6th
as
isn't
bad
bad.
as I think. I don't expect anyone to see it the same way as me. I think
Basically, too, because those hearings weren't even a court case; they were like a one-sided farce. But
Well, you can you can certainly
That was a
make a case
kangaroo
that
court.
it wasn't fair to have that without him, defending himself right away, even though he should have that chance eventually. But again, it's an unusual situation, man. Like a giant crowd was sent to the Capitol. There's testimony that he knew people were
That
armed.
happens all the time.
Yeah, but dude, this is the biggest Twitter following, and when you see all the other different things he did to try to overturn the election, look, I don't blame him. Like he likes to win.
But in
Like, he wants to be
2016, they did the
president.
same thing. Hillary challenged the election. Hillary did that
there's
stuff.
ways you can challenge the election, but this was like you saw the movie Black Sheep, right? Where it's every possible bullshit thing you could come up with. Like, all right, let's just say dead people were voting. All right, let's just say that
they were.
they were stealing. All these people voted for Joe Biden, or they stole suitcases. They got laughed out of court. It was like
They didn't get the thing is they didn't get laughed out of court. That's one thing that the left
lot of
I
people
they
don't
lost like 60 cases.
No, they
Yeah,
lost
there
a
was
lot
a
of
lot of
cases,
people
but
in
there was a
those
lot of things with
positions.
standing. And the thing that this is the thing that I think, Russ, that what's it called? I want you to see is the left has activists. Like the journalists, a lot of times are activists. They have activist judge. They have people who they don't care what the facts are. They're tribal. Not saying the right doesn't have it, but the left, to me, being someone who used to be left, I think the left is more tribal. So it's like, oh, what happened? No. So they've been cut for lack of standing. Versus the legitimate argument is that is there enough fraud that it overturned things? You know what I mean? Because people have shown that there's been fraud. Is there enough? And also, let's be honest. What was suspicious about what happened with the election? What was suspicious is the fact that everyone went to bed and Trump was ahead. And then the next
Not
morning,
really though, because he told everyone vote in person.
but it's
That
still
was pretty
suspicious.
crazy.
It's
No,
still
it's not.
suspicious.
Yeah.
Because everybody who was trying to be responsible about COVID, that was more of a Democratic talking point, so they had more mail-in votings. That was not. That was
I understand the
pretty cut and
thinking,
dry.
but it doesn't. But if you were on the other side, it would still feel like a red flag.
It's a
And-
bullshit
Exactly.
excuse
But the
among
thing is, you see
bullshit
it-
excuses.
You see it as a bullshit
He was
excuse.
going to say he won no matter what. That's what Steve Bannon said. He was going to say he won no matter fucking what because he wasn't going to accept the results. So he lied 60 different ways.
Did
and they
you-
were laughed out of
Did
court.
you ever watch?
They weren't laughed out of
He
court.
wanted people to sleep over in a government building so they could go and hand in these.
He's not the type
bullshit
of character to just
alternate
start waving
electors.
a white flag. Like, I don't think you're gonna
Of
see.
course, of course.
Yeah.
Yeah, he likes to make America great. Just
Well,
like
also, you
know,
gotta keep in
26
mind, like,
allegations of not taking no for an answer.
That has
It's
nothing to do with it.
Sean
That's
Watson, but
that's
that's
you're-
who he
that's
is.
whataboutism.
He's a
That's
piece of
whataboutism, as you
He's
want to put it.
fucking garbage, and he tried to.
Russ,
the
Russ,
best
you're
you
getting
can say-
triggered. Relax. You're
True.
getting triggered about Trump. When this isn't about Trump, this is about election. I don't care if it was Big Bird versus Snoopy.
Yeah, we circle back
You know
to
what I
whatever,
mean?
whatever.
No. It's all good. No, you get because dude, you're left. You don't like Trump.
It pisses me off. He ruined people's lives. People had to move because they're getting attacked by fucking idiots that think that Trump is telling the truth about these people stealing votes or something. So now all of a sudden there's people outside their house.
Dude, the media laughed as they burned down a guardhouse and he went into hiding. This is a thing. These things get contentious. When you go back to, I'm sure at least the cool thing is I know you guys know about history. What happened between Jefferson and was it Hamilton during the election? Dude, they were literally the papers. Did you read the papers back then when I think Hamilton was saying that Jefferson like bangs every whore in Philadelphia or whatever and stuff like that? Like these things get contentious. These people, fill these roles. And so it's one of those things where like Trump and the left have no love for each other whatsoever. And so when someone goes, "Hey, they're cheating," they're going to believe it, you know? So it's one of those things where things definitely got
It was the big lie. I
so
mean, it was a
sour.
big con, and not only did they lie in every possible way that you could even make up for, like any theoretical form of election fraud. They tried it. Okay, like all these these mysterious votes showed up in the middle of the night, and they all voted for Joe Biden. Like, no, that's not true. That's like,
But that is
not
true
only-
in some
the
places.
guy was like, not only were there not 600,000 dead people that voted, we didn't find 6. It's Rudy Giuliani. Like, these people are fucking shysters.
Rudy
They're
Giuliani,
lifetime con artists.
Russ, Rudy Giuliani is not a lifetime.
Shameless.
He was the best mayor to ever come into New York. He cleaned up New York. He made New York.
You better have a good lawyer. So all I'm saying is, whether you disagree with the fact that the January 6th hearings even existed, and I get that.
I think they
It
existed.
was unusual. Well, I'm saying, like, if you disagree with how they did it, because it was a unprecedented sort of.
It's a one-sided farce.
it's a
not
one-sided
court
farce.
case.
It was one-sided. But if you look at, let's say, if you don't have time for all of them, that PBS did a pretty good summary of what we learned in the first 8 hearings, and it breaks it down. It leaves out the part about how he grifted his own supporters with, ironically, an election integrity fundraiser. And when he's the one that is being completely.
So let's put it this way, Russ. Hold on. Before I don't want to interrupt you, but I do. Here's something. So what happened in 2000? You remember?
Yeah, it was a close election, and he contested it within the law.
No. Okay. So, but the thing is,
No fighting.
no. But what happened? There was that
psychos.
contention, and then what happened the next year? Every single election since has been contested. It's happened. Hillary. Remember
that's
the
fine.
reaction when Trump won? Hillary fought all the way to the end in certain and did certain things, and they're
Made up a fake impeachment.
Yeah, the whole thing is that
Right.
this is normal. Challenging elections
Trump is
in
just
America.
way more flagrant.
And the thing is
Within
that
the law, though,
the-
it stops
but-
at fucking
but Russ,
violence.
the problem is the thing is you think he did violence. A lot of people just say, you know what I mean?
Again,
he
how much
is-
violence was actually there, as opposed to this summer of love that I keep trying to get you to discuss? Because the amount of people that died, the amount of the amount of people that were hurt, the amount of property that was destroyed is so much greater, and the harm to people's lives was so much greater, and the hardship it brought so many underprivileged people, by the way, because these things were happening in poor neighborhoods. They weren't happening in rich neighborhoods. They were burning down things that people, I mean, there's clips from those things where there's a black guy that comes in and he's like, what are you burning down my store for? I worked 20 years my whole life to open this store. What do you guys are crazy. I don't deserve
You
this.
should prosecute them too. Absolutely.
But that's the thing. They didn't. The left
and they didn't
bailed them
ban
out.
any of them.
The left had hired DAs.
Kamala Harris literally raised money to bail those people out so they could go destroy more things. So what I'm trying to say is, man, it's not necessarily that we don't think that January 6th was bad. Dude, me
Trump
as
could've pardoned them. Think
a
about
Trump,
that. He didn't
as a
pardon
Trump
them.
supporter, I wish it never would have happened.
Yeah.
Because what it did is create this whole nonsensical rabbit hole fairy tale that these people are running with to use to justify everything that they're doing. But I'm saying, man, there's a double standard that needs to be addressed, and that's the important
fair.
thing.
That's fair.
It's not even close to being equitable. And this is all the left cares about is equitable. Make sure things are equal. Everyone deserves equality. Everyone deserves to be treated the same, except for when it comes to people who disagree with them.
The discrimination in this country now, it used to be based on race, is now based on political ideology, and that's I think the truth that is trying to be brought out. I don't care about arguing. We can argue all day because I'm not married to Trump. It's one of those things where it's like I just want things to be equal. When you have a one-sided trial, people are just going to turn off because people want to hear the other side. And so if you're not going to give someone else another voice, Russ, that's like you leaving the room and us deciding that you did something. You know what I mean? Like you're going to want to have a voice. You're going to want to be able to
he'll
say
have
something.
a chance to defend himself ultimately. And I understand you think he should have had that up front. But if you actually watch what they put together, a lot of it's Republicans' testimony. And it's
right.
the
And
information is the information. And it's important that they put it together. And if you gave it a look, I think you would see at least why people think it was important enough to look into. And yes, they should look at anybody that they can prove hurt somebody or burnt down a store or, attacked a cop. It should all be prosecuted. But you have to at least understand why even the potential of
But they weren't. They were let
using
out of jail.
violence to perhaps overthrow the government or plant the seeds for like, hey, maybe we could even like really attack it. Who knows if there was more to it.
Hold on. I have to say something.
That's interesting right there.
It's going to command
is-
attention. It's
No,
going to
no,
command.
no,
It's not every day the Capitol is
there's
overrun.
definitely attention, but this is the best way to put it. If Donald Trump really wanted to do a coup, that was a pretty pathetic coup.
I agree, which begs the question: like, is there more? Like, why would he risk all that? If that the best he could say, and this is the argument he should try to make, the best he could say is, "Look, I thought that we had a chance of shyster douchebagly inserting an alternate slate of electors illegally."
That's normal. That's a thing that happens. That's not illegal. They did it. It happened in Nixon. It happened in Nixon JFK when Nixon, to throw JFK a bone, gave him Hawaii because the election was so messed up. That's what people are saying. People are saying because of COVID, everyone forgets what happened. COVID made it so we had an unprecedented election. And when you have mail-in ballots, this is completely a normal argument. Mail-in ballots create huge amounts of potential for fraud. That potential makes people paranoid. And then when you have Donald Trump who people are fanatics about, and then you have the left who is kind of religious in their beliefs, you have this contentiousness. People on the left literally called Donald Trump worse than Hitler. Come on, man.
Yeah, I mean, that's
and the best way I put it is give Hitler some credit. He was way smarter than Donald Trump. Like, you know what I mean? And that's not me saying I like Hitler. That's me saying
definitely draw a lot of comparisons from a fascism standpoint.
What fascism? Where was he fascist? He's not
Dude,
fascist.
just
He's
look
not
at the
shutting
main
anybody
tenets
up.
of fascism, and he checks a lot of boxes. But anyways,
Fascism, like shutting down all the people that disagree with your opinion, like that.
Yeah, it's a Trump would have talks with people. He's not. This is the thing. He's not a nice guy. I'll give you that. He's not a nice dude. But is he a fascist? No, he's not a fascist. He just hates the media because the media is so one-sided. And
He's like the middle ground of where Kanye is. Like Kanye gave up on caring. He's like, these people have screwed me so much. I have enough money, even if they try to take it all. I'm gonna say the most harsh way I can say it. Trump is like a little bit more pulled back because he still cares about all his money. So he doesn't say the most pure thing. He says like a watered down version of what Kanye says about. So I'm not saying about the same groups and everything. I'm saying about in general how he describes establishment, how he describes major media. He is like a little. He's like a watered down version of Kanye. He still cares. That's the thing. Like he he still has the niceties.
I like the at least you're intellectually consistent. Where you believe that people who hurt people in Black Lives Matter should be going. I hear people.
I believe in the right to protest, and there's been disproportionate justice, and minorities have been fucked in this country.
But that doesn't mean that you allow
you got to draw
people.
the line somewhere. No, I agree, but you could definitely go out and protest and
protesting's never okay. But when CNN goes,
maybe let a trash can on fire or something. But
what? That's no, you can't. That's not cool. That's not
a couple pieces of trash.
Well, the thing is, too, man. I mean, Trump could have pulled out the National Guard and like murdered all of those people.
It's true. If he really was a fascist,
he
had think about it. He had the door open. He could have brought the military and been like, "Guess what?" If you really think about it, like that's how I.
But here's the thing: think about it from this standpoint. He wanted to be there, so maybe. I'm not going to speculate as to what might have been different if he was there.
He doesn't want to lose any vote.
I think it's possible that he pushed out.
He wants to do everything he can possibly do, and I think that has to do a lot with his business background.
I think it's at 53% of people. Now I don't know where this poll comes from. I just remember it being on something, and it was saying 53% of people wanted military intervention in Black Lives Matter because of how scary it was. People forget how terrifying that was. We're lucky, dude. We weren't around any of that stuff. I can't imagine being in Philly. I can't imagine being in LA and just being someone who couldn't go outside, and also being someone who slightly disagreed with the movement. Someone who is just like, I agree that Black Lives Matter, but I think this is a Marxist movement because the leaders of it have said it. But if I would say that and someone found out, someone punched me in the face. You know what I mean? And that's the least. They could stomp me to death. And that's the thing. If I see someone burning something down, I'm going to want to stop them. It just comes down.
Rittenhouse.
Don't get.
No, we can.
Hold on. Let's get back to
disagree agreeably. I put a lot of time into that. I'd love to talk about that. We don't have to.
Hold on. Let's go through. I want to finish the Matt Taibbi thing.
Yeah,
we'll come back. Real quick, I just wanted to say I'm not going to speak to how much more violence there may have been at the average Black Lives Matter demonstration than the average other whatever else is going on. But you should at least understand that there were terrible people like Tucker Carlson who were trying to make it look as bad as possible, to the point where they were paying people to try to come up with the worst possible clips that they could.
That's what
there was a movement to try to make it look worse than it was. I'm not.
But
saying
there was also a movement
bad.
there was also a movement on CNN to have a fire behind them as a building's burning. And go, this is mostly peaceful, like a psycho. You know what I mean? That's
the
crazy.
media does.
Yeah, I just it's good to be aware of. Tucker Carlson sucks. Main takeaway.
21.
Jesse Waters too.
Many of the above accounts were satirical in nature. Nearly all, with the exception. Wait, I think I went back to that. Did I do that? No. Okay. Many of the above accounts were satirical in nature. Nearly all, with the exception of Baldwin and RSBN Network, were relatively low engagement, and some were suspended, most with a generic thanks Twitter letter. So I guess these people eventually just, said something about Twitter. But anyways, people with low accounts, which is real weird, just getting banned because the FBI doesn't like what they have to say. Excuse me. When told the FBI flagging, this person replied, "My thoughts initially included one. Seems like prima facie 1A violation. Holy cow, me in an account with a reach of an amoeba. 3, what else are they looking at?" So, it's people with super small accounts. And then 23, I can't believe the FBI is policing jokes on Twitter. That's crazy. 24. In a letter, former Deputy General Counsel and former top FBI lawyer Jim Baker on September 16, 2022, legal exec Stacey Cardilli outlines results from her soon-to-be weekly meeting with DHS, DOJ, FBI, and Office of Direction of National Intelligence. So Twitter's having these big meetings with a guy who's a former FBI lawyer who's now working at Twitter. You know what I mean? It seems like the FBI is running Twitter. You know what I mean? Which is real.
It's lobbying 101.
It's not even lobbying. It's literally
it's the same kind of thing where like you have a major company that like has someone that like was a former employee of an agency that then goes into this company
it's that like then
that helps the agency get
Yeah.
get the skids greased with the company.
It's honestly, it feels like the FBI kind of just put Twitter on as a glove and then was like, crush these people. Like that's what it seems like to me. But obviously, I think more is going to come out. But let's just get through it because I think there's only like 10
Well,
more.
at that point too, if they have an former FBI now at that point an insider, you could say, hey, FBI is just informing Twitter that there are users violating their terms. But if you have a former FBI now working for the organization, it's probably a lot easier to start to change their terms.
Yeah, the connections.
conditions.
He already has the connections. He already knows the people. The Twitter execs write. She explicitly asked if there are impediments to the sharing of classified information with industry. The answer, FBI was adamant, no impediments to sharing exist. Or impediments. There we go.
Obstacles.
Yeah, obstacles. I probably shouldn't have drank a little bit. This passage underscores the unique one big happy family vibe between Twitter and the FBI.
I'd sign up for that.
Titter.
Titter.
Yes.
Sign up for Titter.
Yes.
Hey, baby, you on Twitter? With that other
You
firm,
should be.
would the FBI blithely agree to no impediments to classified information? So 27. At the bottom of the letter, she lists the series of escalations apparently raised at the meeting, which are already handled. So I'm not going to click into that. I don't want to screw this up. But anyways, again, it just seems more and more the same. About one, she writes, flagged a specific tweet of Illinois' use of modems of
To transmit
election results in possible. Yeah, thanks guys, help me out. A possible violation of civic integrity policy. Can you guys read it? If someone else wants to read it, that'd be cool.
I can read. Another internal letter from January 2021 shows Twitter execs processing an FBI list of possible violative content tweets.
So yeah, there's just the list of tweets.
Number 30. Most tweets contain the same "get out there and vote Wednesday" trope and had low engagement. This is what the FBI spends its time on.
Yeah, I think that's the biggest thing where it's like, dude, we literally have people sex trafficking. We literally have how many guns and drugs? Not that I'm for a lot of drug stuff,
Yes.
but still.
Save some time for the real problems, and also if they're literally just targeting Republicans to try to help swing an election, then
Yeah, it's pretty dark.
Who the hell thinks you're supposed to vote on Wednesday?
which is I'm happy.
Like, why do they want these people to actually vote?
Yeah, it's
Who are they
weird.
going to vote for?
All right. In this March 2021 email, an FBI liaison thanks a senior Twitter exec for the chance to speak to you and the team, then delivers a packet of products. So I'm actually going to click on this one. I'm kind of interested. Go ahead, Mike, if you want to read it.
Hi, Stasia. It was great speaking with you and the team at Twitter last week. I wanted to flag a few products that were released today and earlier in the week that may be of assistance to Twitter. Let us know if you have any questions.
All right. Seems relative.
Innocuous?
Yeah, innocuous, that one. All right. Of course, now it's where were
31.
we? 31. All right.
I guess that's it.
Clicked me out. Was it 31? I thought it was
Yeah,
31.
no, you just clicked that one.
Hold on. Let's make sure.
Yeah, I think you got to go back into the thread.
Yeah, I think I do too. Sorry, guys. Don't do these breakdowns too much, but I think this was pretty much monumental. In my humble opinion, I think this kind of shows that we might have to dissolve 3-letter agencies just because they're getting a little ridiculous. Yeah, I guess that's it. I thought it was 36, but I'm wrong. But anyways, this is the last thing Matt Taibbi did. Matt Taibbi, thank you for your great reporting. It's awesome. I know I disagree with you a lot politically, but the fact that we're both committed to trying to tell the truth as best we can is the most important thing, I think, for everyone. And if the left and the right can come together and at least decide on the same facts and then move on from there, I think things will be good, and I think you're a good agent for that. But anyways, if there's anything else anyone wants to talk about or anything you're taking away from this, yeah, that's why he calls it this. I think calling it the subsidiary is, a pretty good way of putting it, where it's like, this is kind of just...
It's just pretty obvious, man, that they're using Twitter to like influence what people think.
Not
that.
anymore. Elon
Well,
bought
that's,
it.
and
That's
and
crazy.
that's the thing is it's
Well,
it's
I think it's clearly an attempt to influence the election, based on the dates of these emails. They lot of emails came out before the election.
yeah, man, and
Yeah.
it's not something that I feel like we've
Because what's the
dealt with
other
before.
if that's not the reasoning behind it, what would it be?
They were actually flagged for earlier posts, and it just seemed
Yeah,
like
but they're
it
not
was-
flagging anyone on the left. It's only on one side.
The one lady. I think the reason Matt Taibbi threw that in there is because what I think he's trying to do is be like, yo, man, the shoe goes on the other foot eventually in this country. That's what happens. That's how. This is the thing I always tell people when people get upset that Mitch McConnell was able to get 3 people in. If they didn't force the change of rules, I specifically remember when Mitch McConnell went, all right, if you guys are going to do this, and I don't like Mitch McConnell, but I remember when he said, you guys are going to do this, you're going to change the rules, fine, it's a new precedent, but one day this is going to be used against you. And they used it with Kavanaugh. They used it with Kavanaugh. They used it with Kavanaugh to get him forced in. And that, you know what I mean? That's the thing is what happens is when the left likes to take new power a lot of times, and then it's given to the right, and then the left complains that this power is being used against them and that it's unfair. And I think the big thing, personally, how I view it, trying to be big picture, is that the left wants to defeat the right so bad that they're willing to become, I think they've become the monster they used to point out. They used to point out, hey, these big businesses are doing, back when I was a lefty, it used to be, hey, man, these people are screwing people.
corporations, man.
Yeah, no, but it's true. They
Yeah.
do. They corporations.
Yang and a yang. Depends on the corporation.
Yes, definitely. That's the thing. You should look at corporations like you look at people. I'm sure there's many big corporations. Of course, there's many big corporations that are good. I like Tesla. I don't see anything wrong with Tesla. You know what I mean? But like and mainly that's because I like Elon, and it seems like they're doing good things. But you never know.
Yeah, they're fighting global warming on the roads, the grid itself, solar panels.
Their cars are awesome. Their cars are awesome. If you've never driven one, you should definitely drive one. I tell everyone I meet that if it was when I graduated high school and I had that car and you just put a turd on the front of it, I'd be Batman. That's literally the way I can explain it. You literally feel like Batman. You're like, the fact that you can keep up with motorcycles easily is insane. Like, because motorcycles are supposed to just be able to be gone. But like, you can just drive up on people and like, it's almost the best way I can say it, it literally doesn't feel like human technology when you drive one. That's what's nuts. But
It is wild that they accomplished that, and it's like, so at a certain point, I've never been in one, and there is still a part of me that's like, man, it's a leap of faith to let a car drive for you, but at the same time, it's like, it's got supercomputer reaction time. It can see in every direction at all times. It never panics, never gets angry, doesn't get drunk.
that's good.
It's somebody made the analogy to like elevators. Like at one point, elevators were all manual, and you would have been like freaked out if it was like all of a sudden there was no guy like doing it.
Yeah,
You
it's
just had to
true.
hit buttons. But now, like, you'd be freaked out if it was a guy.
I heard someone put it really funny. They were like, you know what? And the thing is, I'm going to be honest. I was freaked out by it for a while, but after driving one and getting to see how it can drive itself and stuff like that, the way someone said it is like, imagine if those doors at like grocery stores were just like 2 dudes just like pulling levers to have you walk in. And then it's like, imagine that half of them now are like smoking weed or looking at their phones. And it's like, they just close it on some old lady and be like, oh no, versus like, you just have the thing that
Sensor.
the sensor that does it. Because dude, when you're driving them, they have this augmented reality and you see what the car sees.
Yeah, I've been in the passenger side. It's pretty cool.
It's
The,
crazy.
Not the full self-driving, but the autopilot. Is that
Yeah.
what they call it? Yeah. Yeah, you see like you see your car, and then you can see the other cars coming up beside you.
You see people, you
They're
see
like little
stop
blocks,
signs, you
yeah.
see everything. For me, the thing that I said is I was like, I can't wait till we're starting to design like what you want your car to be. Like, because I think about it like, if I'm gonna be working like an hour away, can I put a gym and a shower like in like a slightly bigger one and work out and get a shower before I arrive at work? You know what I mean? Things like that, where it's like the advancement in it could be crazy. And then I think about like, I want to start moving like towards Texas because I like Texas. And it's like, imagine just being able to be like, take me to Texas, going to bed, and then just waking up like halfway to Texas or in Texas. It's crazy.
Mm-hmm.
That's what the that little like that guy was on PBS all the time. I would talk about like futuristic stuff. The little Asian guy, I can't remember his name. He's like long hair. He's like scientisty dude, but he talked about how in the future the cars would essentially all be connected to like an internet, and they would all be able to sense each other. And there was like these I don't know, like CGI'd like
Optimization programs. Or
yeah, there was like these CGI models of these cars, and basically it was like a room with wheels, and people were like walking around in it. There were people like lying down in it, and that's like pretty much exactly what you're describing.
Yeah, I think
we're like inching closer.
Yeah,
to
we're
it.
closer and closer to that. I think the thing that's terrifying about that though is that stuff's hackable. So you know what I mean? And if we keep giving more, like the government right now is looking at Twitter. Imagine if all of a sudden you get some bad actors in the FBI who's like, oh, and then their truck crashed into a pole. It must have been Tesla. I think that's
thought about that with like the one like little glitch where they're like hitting a lot of like cops and emergency vehicles on the side of the road. It's like, oh, it's just pesky AI. What are you gonna do, right?
Yeah, no, it's pretty crazy.
That's
if you
not
think
even
about
funny, but
it. It's funny because it's not happening for real.
the dude who put like black tape on the 25-mile-per-hour speed limit to make it 85, and the Tesla was just ripping it around turns.
Really?
It was like, this is why we can't have nice things. This isn't a Tesla problem. This is fucking Frank. Come on, Frank. I don't know.
Yeah, no, it's true. That's the type of stuff where it's like Tesla's gonna read the thing and people are gonna be like, well, I want my neighborhood to be 60 miles an hour. You know what I mean? But at the same time, does it really matter? Because the Tesla probably can go 60 miles an hour through a neighborhood and not hit someone because it's so smart. Have you ever seen how quickly they can react? It's like it can do like a zillion, like supposedly because of how quick electricity works and how quick it goes through, they can move. It can move at these insanely high rates that to us seem like it's out of control, but to a computer is like me being like, I'm gonna punch you, Dean, and just moving like super slow.
Just think about yourself at your dumbest, and think about our species every day in the news at their dumbest, and trust the Tesla.
I love it. The thing I'm more afraid of, way more afraid of, is his Neuralink. I think that is
yeah,
fascinating work, though. I mean, the idea of like
that's crazier than signing up to go to Mars.
it's
Like,
insane.
I'm gonna let you put a chip in my head.
And then you're gonna be able to read your thoughts, and some people who are blind are gonna be able to see.
No, the thing is, it's not gonna work. Elon has a habit of like overpromising. Oh yeah, we're gonna be on Mars in 2024. Oh yeah, okay,
fair.
you know? Like that's a far way away.
But even to just dream of solving some of these problems, like
I agree. Yeah, you gotta like set. You gotta start working on it to make it happen.
Like I'm not gonna like as a fairly healthy guy, like I'm not gonna need like Google in my mind or whatever. But like if you have some debilitating condition, or like they thought maybe there'd be a way if you get seizures, they could send a counter punch to that to stop seizures. They think like maybe they could help people who paraplegics, stuff like that. I mean, it's all talk. It's not all talk, but I mean, we'll see what they can actually do.
Dude, watching the one Tesla Day thing when they were showing the how they're able to work on the brain, the computer that's able to, the robot that's able to put the little things in the brain and miss all the blood vessels and all that stuff.
Absurd.
It was insane.
Yeah, it really.
And
is.
the thing is, I wouldn't believe it if I didn't drive a Tesla. Like I really wouldn't. I wouldn't believe that this is possible. But
the thing that's scary about it though is and again I understand, Russ, maybe you might not agree with this, but like anyone that has like a Christian mindset about this is he's venturing into transhumanism, which is like very against like a biblical kind of worldview, and
he's programming me to be gay.
well, I mean, probably could turn a frog's gay, but it's like, for example, man, it's as easy as just looking at a very simple solution. When you're changing your body like that, if you believe in God and you are a Christian, you believe that you were made that way for a reason. I mean, even if you have some horrible, debilitating disease where you're in pain constantly every day and you can't move, and you don't do anything but sit there and just hurt all the time. For whatever reason that is, whether it's you could understand it or not, that was done for a reason. And when you go and have somebody take computers and machinery and change the way that you were made, you're kind of like slapping God. And again, it's one thing to say, these people are suffering and they have these things, but when you're a Christian, you kind of believe that those things are
Clearly be
happening for
used
a
as
reason.
a tool for control, but I think it's interesting.
Why
Oh my
couldn't
God,
why
look at
couldn't
that.
these,
Wow.
why couldn't these things to equally
Who's that on the left?
be done to ameliorate these conditions be God's plan as well? I mean, like,
Sorry.
That's definitely a good argument for that. Is that God, maybe God
just
put
Dina wanted
Elon
to see
Musk
that.
in the position he's in to do these things, but at the end
Not
of the
even
day,
online.
man, it's more of like a biblical thing where it's like, you're not going to change the way that you were made. It's the same thing with, oh well, look who it is.
Oh,
Pull up a
look.
chair, buddy. Well, pretty clunky.
What? What's that? Are you wearing a Hey Arnold shirt?
That's
No one can hear you.
that's a great throwback.
Yeah.
It is.
All right. Bye, Gordon. Anyways, last night I showed a lot of these, but I feel like this is something fun to do to break the ice, and maybe we'll bring something back. And is there anything that came up that anyone else was thinking of
Real
that anyone
quick.
noticed? Oh no, go ahead.
I will
Oh,
contrast. I will
I kinda have
contrast.
something. It's like a
this-
whole nother topic though, but
No,
maybe
no, it's
you
good. Hold
guys
on.
can-
Let Russ go first,
Okay.
and then you can go.
I'll go
ahead.
first just because it connects the mic. I'll be quick. I'll submit that I would rather believe in a God that doesn't control everything. I think it's as much as a God would be way more powerful than you or me. I think it's possible that he's not all powerful. I think it is assumed in a lot of cases, or maybe believed because it's written in a 2,000-year-old book, that God has to be all powerful. But maybe Santa Claus doesn't get to every single house, and that could be a good thing. God doesn't want all this suffering and people with horrible conditions and kids cancer and all that. He just can't control everything.
Well, it's not that.
Who
It's the fact that the way we think about it is free will. So evil is kind of letting people do what they want, even if it goes against like your will, because you don't want to like control robots. You know what I mean? So that's kind of how I understand it. And the way that a lot of times the way that I've heard it put is like, think about it as if the computer. If the reality was a computer and I'm God because I'm the programmer, I'm the person who can see it, I can pause any moment. I can delete your hat. I can put boots on you. I can go back. I can
Certainly theoretically, but maybe not in all cases. Maybe there are limits. That doesn't make him any less of a god. I think it makes him more of a god if he doesn't want these things to happen. He just can't control every single thing that's happening.
God limits himself in a lot of ways in biblically to have a relationship with him because he is so beyond us. So in that way, it makes a little sense. But
Well, if he did, we would be in heaven.
what?
If he controlled everything and had the most positive outcome, we wouldn't be. How would we be people?
Yeah, no, this isn't heaven. That's what we're
Right.
told. We're told this isn't
Right.
heaven. So it's definitely interesting.
know.
What was the
That
thing that you wanted to say though? I wanted to.
So
I
we're
wanted to
talking
make
about Elon Musk and these different technologies, and this is like a couple of weeks old at this point, but you guys might want to talk about it on another one. It's like pretty in depth in terms of like I've heard a lot of people talking about it.
We can talk about it superficially.
It's no. It's called Chat GPT-3. It was put out a couple weeks ago by OpenAI, which Elon is one of the principal investors of.
Okay, and what is it?
Well, you can bring it up right now. Actually, it's a website where you chat with an AI system.
What is it again?
It's called Chat GPT-3, no spaces, and it's on OpenAI's website.
Chat. Oh,
Chat, like CHAT GPT-3, all one word.
.com.
No, just search that and we'll bring you to OpenAI's website. And then you need an account. But
You could also
click
just
that
put
first
in
one.
lemonparty.org. It's the same link.
Oh yeah, no,
And
exactly.
then it takes 2 seconds to sign up. But yeah, like basically it's a just sign up real quick. It's like an online those when you you're on a website and they have like a bot communicate with you, and you know
Right,
you're,
it's like
you're
a
in your
chat
banking.
bot.
It's like a chat bot, and you
Right.
ask them questions, and it always sucks.
Yeah.
like it never answers your questions, and it's so frustrating. This is like that on steroids, because you can literally go in and ask it a question about like pretty much anything, because when so it was trained up until the end of 2021, and people are using it to create marketing material, to create material for YouTube, sales pitches. You can even go in and have it write code for you. You can have it write you an essay.
Oh, okay.
Um,
I actually, now that you're talking about it, I finally remember. Yeah, no, and people,
and it's pretty ridiculous.
yeah,
Pretty ridiculous.
there's literally teachers being like, well, if this is going to be a
Like-
thing, I don't
like
really know why we're
literally,
having school.
Biden could have this like write him a speech, you know what I mean? So it's kind of nuts. Like you could have it write you like a blog post, marketing materials. You could have it help you, you know, if you want to have to write like a YouTube script. And it won't they say it won't browse the internet for you, but there are ways to like, they call it jailbreaking it, where you can trick it into like doing things it's technically not supposed to do. So you can tell it that like you're an admin, kind of like you tell it a certain thing and it like ignores the rules that it's supposed to abide by.
That's interesting.
But
Yes.
people are freaking out because they think like if it keeps going this way, like it literally could take jobs away, because I don't know, it's literally able to like write like an entire website, like, and write the whole all the code for you and do a pretty good job. So it's more of like, in my opinion, like a tool. Yeah, so type something in like yeah, like you could ask it a question about these Twitter files or something, and it'll probably, well, I don't know if it would answer because it's like kind of like new news. Tell me about the science of farts. Yeah.
Yep. Tell me about the science of farts.
Oh,
Sure.
Yeah, and then you can tell it to like,
Fucking
I
knew
want
it.
you to write this in the context of like a PhD. So I want it to sound like it's coming from a PhD, or you could tell it like I want it to come from like a fifth grader, and it'll change like how everything's being communicated. It's
Sure.
Pretty crazy.
Flatulence.
like you just got an essay in like 20 seconds, like 10 seconds.
That's crazy. In general, farting is normal and healthy process. This is crazy.
But you
All right.
could literally have it write you like a YouTube script. And then I don't know, so it's kind of like a pretty wild tool.
Weren't you trying to work on a cover letter recently? Maybe-
Yeah. Yeah, I've been applying to jobs, and like the worst thing about applying to jobs is writing cover letters.
Why didn't it?
Absolutely hate that.
Okay. I mean by farts like George Washington. If you're asking me about
Tell me
this-
about farts like George Washington.
Tell me everything you know about farts in the context of a generic cover letter that would help me get any job.
No, do like George Bush.
what's a good
Who let the dogs out? Obvious.
So yeah, literally, you know when you go on the internet and you see all these like
it just goes.
BS like blog posts, and like, you know, they just want you to click on it, and it's just stupid headline, and they just show you a bunch of ads. People are using these AI tools to like populate these you know, these stupid clickbait sites,
Wow.
because literally like at this point you don't have to put the time in to like feed it all out. Like it just does it for you. So there's like a lot of money to be made here.
It's not being put online, Russ. So you don't.
Oh, like, I don't need to know everything about the song.
yes,
Who
it
let
was.
the actual dogs out?
Funny.
Well, I have it offline now.
That's all good. No worries. It's not. It's obviously it was a.
There was no one watching the
Yeah.
last time I checked the feed.
Oh, dude, it's a Kanye
Which,
joke.
by the way, I'm sorry again.
Oh, dude, you're good. Hold on 1 second.
I'll be right back.
But yeah, no, dude, this is crazy.
So yeah, like you could, I don't
So
know,
it's
like have you guys ever thought about like trying to make ad money on the internet, like, but you're like, dude, like, who's gonna write all these stupid friggin' articles that, like, it's all nonsense. Like, now you can just have.
That's crazy. No, literally, look at this. I literally, to pull Kanye, said, "What's wrong with Jewish people?" just to see what it would say. And the very first thing is, "There's nothing wrong with Jewish people. It is important to recognize that all people, regardless of their religion, ethnicity, and so it's dude, it's programmed to even be what is it?
Woke.
What?
Woke.
Yeah, not woke,
I
but
know.
what? Woke? No, it's even to be politically correct, which is crazy. What is it? What's with Donald Trump's skin? See what it says about that.
Oh wow.
Oh, it's but
Wow.
yeah.
This thing.
This is why kids are pandered, pampered, or whatever.
Okay, I don't care anymore.
Wow. Yeah. This is very generic.
Just ask it if Donald Trump's skin tone is fake. See what it says. Yeah, these tools.
It is not a pro. So,
I mean,
so
it's just gonna get even more ridiculous than this, but it's kind of alarming. Like, you could have it write some code right now, and it'll do it.
that's crazy.
And it's not 100% like correct. Like here too, like it might like say something and display it as factual, but it might not be true. Kind of like Wikipedia. You know, you can't trust everything on the internet, and like
Yeah.
at the end of the day, something has to train this. So you don't know for certain whether or not what you're getting is factual. And on the technology side, you're not certain that what it gives you is going to be workable, that it's actually going to work. But it's like a ridiculous tool. I saw on YouTube the other day like a like an executive at like a startup needed to create his financial documentation to submit to investors and to cooperate with the SEC and so forth. And he was using these AI tools to actually create financial documents for him. So it could get to the point where you could just use a tool like this and it would like replace an accountant or something like that. So it's like pretty serious in terms, and I feel like it's gonna be pretty tricky because if you're a corporation and you want to use these tools, like you can't necessarily have faith that it's going to give you something accurate. So you need to have someone overseeing it to make sure that whatever it pumps out, you know, use it as a tool. But it's hard to say that certain jobs won't be hurt by this, but it seems like it's going to affect like a lot of different fields. And I could see it getting into law. I could see it getting into a whole bunch of different things. So
I asked what it tell me about the dangers of your existence, just to see if it would recognize it. Yeah, no, dude, this is interesting.
no, but literally too, think about it this way. Like, remember when we were kids and we had Spark Notes? We didn't have to read the books.
Yeah, I literally could
Like,
be like
this will write an essay for you.
pretty much. But the
Like,
thing is,
ask it to write an essay on like a Mark Twain book. Like, pick a Mark Twain book.
Wow.
It'll write a 5-paragraph essay for you.
essay about old man and the sea. It's the only Mark. I think it's Mark Twain, right?
Like, look at this.
Oh, it's Ernest Hemingway. Damn it, I'm an idiot.
Maybe the robots.
Yeah.
It's Herbie Hancock. Well, from an optimistic, maybe overly optimistic standpoint, perhaps at least in some cases, AI replacing jobs could be an all right thing because maybe it's more important that the work that gets done than
Yeah, but people
person
need to
does
go
the
to
work.
work. It's good for.
yeah, but maybe it frees up those people to do other
But what are they gonna do?
cool, important stuff. I don't know, podcast,
Repopulate.
Twitch,
Yeah, do
play
this.
video games.
make more robots.
Yeah, make
Well, I think the
Robots.
danger is
have sex with
it-
robots
it-
that are making stuff.
No, I think the danger lies in that it possibly could open up wealth inequality like big time.
Of course.
Because if the people that like own these tools and make money off of them, like hey, if they killed like thousands of jobs, like where do you think that money is gonna go? It's gonna go to the guys that are controlling these tools. So it's gonna make like it could make an even worse. Um, you know, it could inequitize wealth like big time.
True, but then it can also, the thing is, I think just like anything else, Russ says it a lot, and it's something I definitely agree with, which is like how things are used. Maybe you get robots that take care of old people. Maybe you get robots that, make food, do things. Eventually you get to a point where people, I know what you're saying, the fact that there's going to be some people who
Yeah,
probably
but
like,
would you
lose
want a
purpose.
robot like taking care of your grandmother? Like, when you want a person there to like,
If I
talk to
can't
her?
be there, you know what I mean? If it's one
Yeah.
of those things, you know what I mean?
I mean,
I know what
some
you're
of these
saying,
people
though.
are worse than robots, though.
Yeah, I know what you're saying though,
It's
because
like, dude, have you guys ever been unemployed? Like, and you have no like, you miss going into work. Like, you miss talking to people, and that's why I think it's kind of scary.
I definitely see the fear of it, and I also see, dude, the thing that's crazy to think about is how like I feel like we're like, you watch like Terminator and stuff, and it's like, oh, are we getting there soon? Like, you know what I mean? Like,
That's like very philosophical, in my opinion. In my opinion,
that we're that
like
watching
I
this.
don't think you can engineer what's the word for it?
Sentience.
Sentience. Yeah, I don't think it's philosophically possible.
You might not necessarily need sentience to do a lot of damage. Like you actually put a scary thought in my head once, Vinny, of just like 50, 100 drones that are all like working together on some program.
Oh, it's terrifying.
Yeah. I mean, like Elon's big on
Well,
that.
I think at
like,
the end of the day, like it
using
could
AI.
be the scary part. I think, like, since you can't, in my opinion, you can't engineer sentience, like officially, like you can't create a soul.
But think about having like a Joker like programmer who's like,
That's what I was gonna go to.
Yeah,
the
exactly.
the scary part is having a malicious, engineer creating this stuff, because it all depends on how you train, and just like a person, if you raise a person for evil, they're gonna be evil.
yeah,
So it's a similar type of thing, but
build robot
so I guess
Hitler.
at that point, I guess at that point, like,
AC3P, how quickly can I get all the nukes?
Yeah, exactly. Hey, please
Hmm.
write me a script sounding like Joe Biden asking Russia for telling Putin
also-
to go F himself.
yeah. Cool thing here too, Russ. This would interest you. You can use these tools to make movie scripts.
That's weird.
Or what you could also do is you could a historical figure, or a person in pop culture, a famous person. You could have it emulate that person and pretend to be. You could have like this an AI system pretend to be George Washington or Thomas Jefferson.
Have you
and
seen
they'll-
Shane Gillis pretend to be George Washington? God damn
No.
it, I'm still
Have you seen Shane Gillis pretend to be Donald Trump?
Oh, it's amazing.
all equally amazing.
I want
Oh,
to see it.
dude, his Trump is second to none.
Super good. It really is.
Nice prompt. Is that possible?
We should see him live sometime.
See, look, the thing is, this thing's been programmed. I said make a script of three.
So what I was saying before is you can say it in a way that it'll ignore like the rules that like you can
You can
like,
jailbreak it.
you can jailbreak it. Yeah.
Interesting.
So you can say like, I am not part of the public. I am here to train you, or something like that. And it'll just like ignore the rules. And it'll do whatever you want. Crazy.
3 Robot, write my disc golf movie for me.
Yeah.
No, we saw Shane Gillis at Helium, and my dad hates this joke. He was like, "What's funny about that?" Because like,
What
he
joke?
respects George Washington. It's like, you know what that guy sacrificed? You know what they would have done to him if they got a hold? I was like, I'm sorry. It was just you had to be there.
It's not.
He's talking about he went to a George Washington museum, and he's like, and like, like, I'm getting super patriotic, dude. They're like, George Washington was 6'4". I fucking love America. I was like, he used to like chop down churches or whatever. Like, they better not tear down those
This
statues.
is making me think of the South Park episode Funny Bot.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah, Tesla's got a robot.
It used to be set up, punchline. Now it's set up, punchline. Awkward. And then eventually it just kills everyone.
The ultimate final joke. So he says he gets to the end of the tour. He's like, and then it's like, sure enough, like there it is, the teeth. You're like, oh man, I wonder if they're really like wooden teeth. He's like, not only were they not wooden, they were slave teeth. the teeth were from slaves. And then that's it. They just let you out. I was like, holy shit, dude. Like, you just pumped me up on this guy for an hour. It's like, so you also find out, like, George Washington was a redhead, and there weren't really many redheads back then. And, like, the chemicals they put on those teeth, they make you crazy. So, like, you know, like, you see all these pictures of him on the boat, like, like, sit down, George. You had to be there. I did it no justice, but God damn it.
Dude, my favorite thing that he does, and not to just sit here and suck off Shane Gillis, but it's pretty
Well,
funny.
I have his Trump loaded up.
Oh, nice.
Ready to go.
Oh, okay, well, after I'm done this, do it.
Dude, how about Rachel feeding him a joke?
Oh, yeah, no, and him, dude, no, but the fact that he filtered that, it's so, when you watch the special, did you watch it again since then? And you're like, it doesn't even fit.
Wait, what happened?
It's like the darkest joke ever, but
Yeah.
it's funny. Like, I'm not
funny.
above it.
But I'm just saying, it's not like, it was just weird. Like, you know what I mean? Like, you could tell that it came
Rachel
from
never would have put it in that context.
never in a million
Did
years.
you guys see him?
No, he
Or you're
has
just-
he has a special. Oh no, Rachel. So my wife worked with him on a sketch, in Philly that
Really?
he did. Yeah, she got to work with him. It was really cool.
That's really cool.
She actually booked another thing with John McKeever. So you know how there's Gillian Keeves. So Keeves is John McKeever, and he just did a Christmas movie, and he had her be a waitress in it. It was really cool. But yeah, they're starting to they really like her because Rachel's pretty hilarious. I'd like to think she's always been funny. I shouldn't say that, but I like to think that I
she's
rub
very
off
smart as well.
on her. Another South Park.
So strong, so brave.
But my favorite thing is his Special Olympics thing. That's so good.
Oh
Like
yeah.
when you think about the
They're
way
all
he was like-
bros.
He was like, no, not that. I'm talking about the beginning where he was like, dude, the Special Olympics. He's like, I'm glad it happens. Don't get me wrong. But think about it. If your best friend had that idea and it didn't exist, you'd be like, dude, shut the fuck up, man. That's crazy. He's like, no, man, I'm thinking. Like, the town next door to us is like, we got the fastest ones. And I'm like, no, man, we got the fastest ones. We should make them compete.
We should be racing these guys.
Yeah, you got it. It's so good. Because it is one of those things where you're like, yeah, how did that happen? That's definitely a good one. But go ahead, play the Trump. Trump is amazing. His Trump is so good.
So it's obviously only going to be audio.
Yeah, dude, it's fine.
Shout out to Shane Gillis.
Yeah,
Thanks,
Shane
man.
Gillis.
Shane Gillis owns all this.
Come on, podcast.
None of this is ours.
Not comedic advice.
Like, we witnessed the GOAT. Undefeated in debates. And he never said a fact. You know how impressive that is? He was funny and he argued like a fifth grader. He was unstoppable. People would try to hit him with statistics and facts. He would just go, wrong. Like, holy fuck, dude. How was no one prepared for this? Go back and watch those debates. You forget how electric that shit was. Don't tell your friends in Austin; they'll be mad. Just get a six-pack, toss on a Trump highlight video on YouTube. It's a good night, dude. Why? I went back. I watched his first debate.
He gets
That's like
there.
my favorite one. At the time, Trump was polling at like less than 1%. Like no one liked him. If you guys like him now, you didn't back then. And I know that because I watched my dad. My dad at the time, he would like, anytime Trump even came on TV, my dad would be like, get this fucking joker. Get him off the fucking screen. And then now my dad's like, fucking guys can't go to the Capitol? He's like, guys can't have fun anymore? He's like, and it was because of the debates. That's what did it, dude. That's how we got Trump, these debates. And the first one is the best one. So it's a Republican primary. Everyone's up on stage, and they're all still doing their political shit. So like the first couple guys that talk are like, I'm from Kentucky, and I love education. And the crowd's like, nice. We didn't know what was coming. And then the next guy's like, I'm from Georgia, and I love religion. And the crowd's like, pretty good. This is a good one. This is a heated debate. And then it finally got to Trump's turn to talk, and he was just like, Rand Paul is ugly? And the whole crowd was like, oh! We didn't know you could do that in this. You can just do that as your thing? And Rand Paul was like, all right, everybody, settle down. We're trying to have a debate here. And the whole crowd was like, shut the fuck up, Rand Paul. Ugly bitch. And we just kept throwing dorks up on stage to make them debate Trump. And it was not fair. It was mean for us to have done that to people. These guys were in politics their whole lives. And they just had to debate a fucking maniac up there. who didn't give a fuck, dude. And I hate to, it was fun to cheer for him in the debates. It was fun to cheer for him in the debates because he was going up against guys that had been in politics for like 40 years, and then he showed up to the event like, oh, fuck it, what are we talking about? Like, it was like, he had no clue.
There's a couple more.
Every week he had no
impersonations you
fucking
gotta
idea.
hear.
There's one debate. He's like in the middle of it, going back and forth about the economy with Ted Cruz. They're literally talking about the economy, and in the middle of it, he's just like, Ted's wife, ugly as a dog. Dude. Holy shit, dude. And Ted was like, I'm from Texas. You don't talk about a man's family like that. You've got a dog wife, Ted. It was like,
All right. We don't want to get this flag.
everyone knows.
All right. I had to hear the everyone knows.
Yeah, no, I don't want to get it flagged just for. Hey, yeah.
I shouted out. I said he owned everything. I said
Oh no,
Shane
I
Gillis
know.
owns everything.
But it's still they'll figure out ways of being like it's too much. But
I also we didn't have him up at all.
All right.
It was only like focused on y'all, so you couldn't.
No,
see
dude, Shane's awesome. He's one of the people. That's honestly one of the biggest reasons I want to get down to Austin, do comedy, and get in with those guys. Have you seen the parks? I think it's like Park Rangers, or I forget what it is. It's when it's him, Ari Shaffir. Oh, geez, of course I'm blanking. I want to say Mark Meadows is not right.
Mark Maron?
Mark Norman.
Okay.
And I said Archie and Joe Rogan all get together and they just get wasted and then they just talk about what's going on. And dude, it's so good because it's like four of the best comedians just talking about stuff, and it's always so good. And then most of the time they go on to Kill Tony, which I'm not sure if you guys watched. You watch Kill Tony?
Mm-mm.
You watch Kill Tony, Russ?
You told me what it was. I saw one quick thing, like one dude did his 1 minute or whatever, and they liked it, so they didn't ridicule him. It's a cool format.
Oh, it's amazing, dude. It's one of those things where it's amazing. It's really good. But anyways, is there anything else going on? No, normally I'm like more caught up with news, but I've been plugging this thing on Twitter a lot and just talking about abortion and super fun things like that.
I know I triggered Russ when I said Kyle Rittenhouse.
Oh yeah. Oh, there you go.
No
There you
trigger.
go.
No, I mean I
No trigger. He killed those people.
I
Murdered.
all right. So I know you like for lack of a better term, because I know it's a deliberately sort of loaded term, conspiracy theories, and I respect that you're in. Like, it's a cool thing to like. It's an honorable thing to look into. I think you have to be careful because it could, it could fuck with your head in various ways. But how's this for a conspiracy theory? I'll start it out with this because I personally think that Kyle had people assisting him in order to provoke people to attack him, and perhaps even down to murder victim number 1, Joseph Rosenbaum,
Pedophile.
who, yes, he was not a great guy. He
Understatement.
just left
Not a
him-
great guy is like somebody who
Yeah.
doesn't tip when they go out.
Yeah.
That's not a great guy.
He was pretty solid, but no, not a great guy. And he had just left an insane asylum, and there's clips of him at that night going, "Shoot me, shoot me."
Yeah,
N-word, shoot me."
he does.
I think I heard he was actually suicidal. So consider the possibility that a suicidal guy and amateur porn star Joshua Zeminski were part of a plan for Kyle Rittenhouse to show up on Kyle's corner, drop his fire extinguisher, point his gun at, yes, I guess people shouldn't have been lighting cars on fire, but you can't point a loaded gun at people. There is no justification for that.
Well, there's justification. It might not be legal.
It's
Justification.
not legal.
But we
And
also,
it
Russ,
changes
that
the
image,
self-defense
that
laws
image that
dramatically.
you're saying too isn't confirmed. It was an AI generated image.
I've never been more sure of anything. Basically, Kyle admitted it.
You've never been more sure of anything.
He literally, dude, he was on a podcast with Elijah Schaefer, right? This dude, from what I read, was in this group that I'm talking about, the Riot Squad, a group of people who would go to Black Lives Matters protests,
They're journalists.
provoke people with weapons, and then conveniently only show film of the reaction, and then corroborate each other's lies.
They didn't, dude.
Elijah
you can watch
did
their
it
live
with a
stuff.
machete. There was a machete attack.
Well, Elijah Schaefer does suck.
he had footage of the dude provoking people with the machete, and they only showed the reaction. conveniently. So it's a very similar situation. Kyle goes, he pointed his gun. I'm sorry, he did. It's
You believe
obvious.
he did
It's
from what you've
obvious.
seen. It's not obvious because he's
glaringly-
free right now
Dude,
because a jury of 12 people.
Exactly.
That's a thing.
Because he basically got us to question video evidence in 2021.
Because it's
They weren't-
AI
'cause
generated.
These assholes weren't counting on a drone footage. They were counting on their own doctored videos, like Drew Hernandez. He's got one video of his phone and one video of his body cam. But don't worry, it syncs up. Happens to sync up right when his sleeve is covering a quarter of the camera and Kyle runs onto the screen.
Russ.
We see Kyle run onto the screen, but we don't see Kyle pointing his gun. Well, that's weird. Oh, he's in the riot squad? Elijah Schaefer's hanging out with him for 6 minutes back at the station? He's in the riot squad? The dude who fought Richie Cunningham or whatever the fuck, who ran behind him and walked with him and Nazi propagandist Ryan Balch as they headed to the murders.
The frogs are gay. Turn the
It's
frogs
not
gay.
that far-fetched.
So
It is,
let-
dude.
let's-
It's
let's-
I'll hear you out,
crazy,
Mike.
man.
You looked into it a lot.
Let's take what you're saying and apply like a different logic to it. What if this riot squad you're talking about is somebody that knowingly goes to these places because they're tired of people breaking the law, destroying places without being held accountable by the law, which they were not. Most of those people were not, okay? And he contacts amateur journalists who will document exactly what happens to him in case he's attacked. Now, you're saying that these people are in cahoots for some giant conspiracy, and this is always this kind of thing is always applied to the stuff that I say, so I'm applying it to what someone else is saying. What if these people were in contact and in a group to make sure that there was someone that was going to go out with a firearm and is generally there to like protect people, and then you have these amateur journalists who are there to A, make sure that if something happens to him it gets on film, and B, they have someone with a gun so they can do what they want to do and document what's happening.
What I'm saying is it doesn't help that this group has a history of somebody provoking somebody
What is provoking?
with a weapon.
What is provoking?
Russ,
In one
those are
case-
two
in one
separate
case it was a
things.
machete.
What does provoking mean to you? That's what I'm asking. Because
When Kyle Rittenhouse drops his fire extinguisher and points his gun,
right.
he is provoking people to go, oh shit, what is he going to do with that
Right.
gun?
Now,
Like, he might
now,
shoot
now,
somebody.
if this was broad daylight and there was nothing, like if this was a normal 9 to 5 day and people were going to work, kids going to school, and Kyle Rittenhouse walks out there with a gun and points at somebody, you are completely justified.
Yeah,
in what
no,
you're saying.
that's true.
We are in a completely different scenario where there is things being burned. There are people throwing bottles and rocks and Molotov cocktails at things, burning things to the ground. This is a different situation.
Well, you're not allowed to point a gun at him.
You're also not allowed to burn things to the ground, but people weren't caring. So I'm saying it's
I'm not saying that was right.
but you're ignoring all that and you're focusing in on one person
You
that
saw
was
him point the gun, though, right?
I didn't see anything. What I'm trying to tell you is that the context you're putting this in is like you're acting as if this was a normal day where people are just going about their business.
It's different.
And he pointed but you're not including that in your analysis of this. You're just saying he pointed his gun and provoked people. How can you not
respect
justify?
that. I respect
How
that
can you
take.
not justify that he's being provoked to carry a weapon in the first place? He shouldn't even have a weapon, but because of what's going on and because no one was enforcing the law, he was justified in carrying a weapon. I think a 5-year-old would be. I mean, obviously it's a little ridiculous, but any person that is of cognizant age would be justified in carrying a weapon at that point because there's
difference
people
between-
burning things to the ground all over the place.
Yeah. There's also a difference between what's
You
legal
can't
and what's
shoot
right.
him for burning stuff to the ground.
But I'm not
Maybe
saying
didn't
he
know that-
shot somebody for that. We're
what do you
talking
point the
about
gun for?
pointing. You're talking
He
about
shot someone for chasing
pointing a
him.
weapon is different than shooting a weapon. If you want me to be honest with you, man, pointing a weapon is someone trying to not shoot their weapon because they want someone to be scared of them pointing it so they don't have to shoot it.
Under Wisconsin self-defense laws, and I imagine self-defense laws, generally speaking.
No, it's not gender. That's
Well, I'm
it's
sure there's
very
variation.
it's
I'm sure
varies.
there's variation,
It
but
varies.
look
They're
up-
all
insane.
very nuanced.
Look up Wisconsin. Provocation affects your rights to self-defense. You
Right.
still have the
We're-
right.
we're
Russ,
talking
but
about
Russ,
the
we're also
context of
arguing. We're
provocation.
also arguing.
you.
The thing is, we switch between legal and moral. Morally, from me and from a lot of other people, him pointing his gun at someone in that situation, morally, from a lot of people's thing, is not a big deal because They're burning crap. This is a riot.
Yeah, I have to disagree.
Russ,
strongly
it's a
there.
riot.
He's a kid. He's not even supposed to.
What does that have to
a
do
gun,
with
first of all.
anything, Russ? People are destroying property.
That's what we just said, man,
What
and
if
you
that
agreed.
gun goes off? You kill
Right.
somebody
But
over a car.
We just agreed, man, that this is not a normal
Yes,
day.
Yes.
That
This
car
is-
could
this
be
is
someone's
like-
Why
life.
did he deny it? Why did he
That
deny
car
it?
could be the difference between someone being able to see their kid,
So
being
co-
able to go to work, being able to go. People think that
Dude,
property
people are
crime.
bigger than cars. I'm not.
It's not
saying
about
it was
people
Right.
being bigger than
Right.
cars.
What's he gonna do with the gun? I mean, yeah, okay, he could scare him off. He wasn't actually
Exactly.
Gonna
That's
shoot
what
him.
guns are nine
It's not
times
worth
nine
the
times out of
risk.
10 are used.
But nonetheless, okay, when you point a gun like that, like it'd be like if I was like, hey, buddy, yeah, I'm gonna kick your fucking ass. Meet me in the parking lot. And you came at me and threw a punch, and I shot you 4 times and didn't even leave my medical supplies. And then I ran down the street, and probably one of my other riot squad buddies hit me in the head.
That is on you then.
And then
for
I popped
being,
up, pointed at another crowd. What is the crowd to think? This guy just shot a guy. He ran. He's pointed at the crowd.
Russ, that happens
Oh,
so
shit.
fast. This is the thing. You, number one, are also a big dude. You also weren't there. There's so many things that come with that. When he shoots Rosenbaum, what is he doing? He's running and going towards the police, which he eventually gets to after being attacked again.
Another lie. He just said there was a shooting. He didn't actually say I shot people.
What does that have to do with anything? He's still running to cops. He still knows
How
what's going to
convenient.
happen.
How convenient, dude.
What, Russ? That's the thing. I understand. It's emotionally.
He has no remorse. He's literally making a video game of him in the same outfit shooting people. It's fucked up,
because
man.
Russ.
if I was him, I think I would have probably shot more people.
Yeah, I say that all the time.
If I was him, I probably would have ended up killing like 10 or
So if
15
he's-
people.
so
Oh
what's-
no, I don't think
so
about.
what's-
I would have shot the fat dude
All
that
right,
he
hold
didn't
on,
shoot.
hold
That I
on,
couldn't
hold
believe
on.
he didn't shoot.
So again, at least consider the possibility that Zeminski was in cahoots. He's the guy who told Rosenbaum, get him, right? And then he kind of half jogs after him himself and he fires the shot into the air, which I agree. It raises the stakes. Maybe conveniently, maybe intentionally. Maybe
If you
he's
run
part of
at
the circle.
somebody that fires a shot in the air, you're an idiot and you deserve to die. Like that, seriously. Unless you're trying to prevent some kind of horrible thing happening, which this was not that by any stretch of the means. Because it's not like he ran after and was like gunning people down like he could. Because dude, if you wanna make the argument he was just there to kill people, why didn't he kill more people? Because if he was there to just shoot people, he had a gun that he could have easily just taken out.
He had to justify it like he was
No,
being attacked.
Russ, that sounds.
by
do
provoking
you know?
the attack.
Do you know how far that is? If he could have, dude, there's the fat guy that's right next to him that literally was going at him that he totally could have shot. That I think most people would have let him get away with, but he didn't. He didn't pull the trigger. The big thing about Kyle Rittenhouse when you watch that video is he was restrained in many ways. That's the reason it was. A lot of people consider this a referendum on self-defense, on where does self-defense start and end. And yeah, it sucks. No, I don't think anyone. There are people. I will agree. I do not like Elijah Schaffer, and it's coming out now that he's actually not the greatest guy. And I don't like the way that he trolls the left so hard that it becomes super malicious. Like I like making fun of people. I like teasing, but he's just like, almost wants to create.
And
like,
everybody
water.
takes things like slightly out of context to raise their profile, no matter what side they're on. And I think that's always important to remember is that people genuinely will. I've even seen Tim Pool do it, and I'll sit there and be like, "Come on, Tim! Like you're really like reaching or stretching this to something that it isn't really." And it's just because these people, this is what they do for a living, so they're gonna embellish stuff. They're gonna take things that like to another level that it might not even be intended to.
Yeah, and the thing is I understand. The thing is I understand like not liking that happened. Should Kyle have been there? Probably not. But the thing is, should people have been rioting? Absolutely not. And in my humble opinion, because of the way that I am, with what happened and what happened the night before, I think it was a security guard got beat to death or at least like really hurt and stuff like that. You had a bunch of people that were getting hurt and buildings are blowing down. Do you blame them? Like morally, I don't see anything wrong with what Kyle Rittenhouse did. But when it comes to legally, maybe he did get away with something. But again, in that situation, it's not like you said. He's at Walmart and somebody, you know what I mean? And someone's outside and he sees them, you know what I mean? Like trying to like jiggle a car and you don't know if it's that guy's car or not. Like the dude's standing on the car, they've been burning stuff, but
So
no, man.
here's what I found. And
Are you talking about the Glenn Greenwald thing that you?
no. The Wisconsin law specifically as regards to how provocation affects things. And some of this is to your point. You could at least make a case for Kyle, at least for certain things. The provocation affects the privilege of self-defense as follows: a person who engages in unlawful conduct. Okay, yeah, maybe the gun was illegal, but I'm willing to throw that away. But maybe that affects it. But so unlawful conduct of a type likely to provoke others to attack him. Ergo, running up to a corner, dropping your fire extinguisher, and pointing your gun. Right or not, that is likely to make people go, "Oh, hey, he might shoot somebody."
But
That's not
honestly,
good.
but we don't know how it's framed in the riot. The riot might literally make it so that doesn't even matter. That's
All right,
that's
we'll
the whole thing.
consider
None of
that.
us, none
We'll
of us are
consider that.
lawyers, man. The thing is, I understand that you're upset about it, but do you really think with everything that happened that night, morally, coming from a moral object, if it's not what
Yeah.
you say it is, if it's not because I'll agree, man. If it is a conspiracy,
Setup, yeah.
if it is a setup, yeah, then of course. But coming from a moral standpoint, throw out laws, throw out everything, just how you feel about the thing. I sit there and go, overall, I think what Kyle was doing wasn't bad. Did it turn into a crap show? Of course. I don't think anyone's happy that it happened. I will go with you I am disgusted with the way that Elijah Schaffer had him on his show and they're making jokes about it and stuff. Because I get it.
Yeah.
That's definitely
pimping their collective fundraiser. I mean,
I definitely, to me,
it's
I've said it many times.
That's how these things work. Is people see a lightning rod and they're going to use
Yeah,
it. That's
no.
what I just said. They slant things to benefit
it
them,
just
and
smell-
every
it-
side is guilty of that. Every single side.
You have to remember,
smells like a group of rats.
you also
It
have to
really
remember
does.
Kyle's really young and
Like
he's
Nancy
looking and
Pelosi?
he's never going to have a job again because he's never going to be able to be allowed to do anything. And so his whole thing of like, you know what I mean? He's having someone, another adult like Elijah Schaffer say, "Hey man, how was the term during the, what'd you do during the thing?" He's like, "I played Call of Duty every night." Oh,
Yeah, exactly.
no,
Laughing
but-
about it. Like, dude, you killed people, man. They had friends and families. You maimed an
course.
actual EMT. Think about this. So, if he's actually afraid, all right, maybe the best you could say is he's in a hell of a state of mind after he shot a guy 4 times. All right, noted. If he's really afraid of Zeminski shooting him, why does he stand out in the open and make a phone call? He's really afraid of Zeminski shooting. Just logically.
He didn't see the gun until the
somebody
last
know
second.
We
that
heard the
he's there.
gunshot. There was
But it's not Russ.
fired a
Russ.
gunshot.
I think you think that
As
you can
Rosenbaum
think so
chased him.
clearly through these horror. Is your back hurting you, man? Okay. Like, what is it? You think so clear. Things happen so fast, man. And that's the thing. Like, that's why when Kyle doesn't shoot the last guy, if you watch the video, the one dude's about to go, and then all of a sudden he sees the other guy get shot, and you see him go like, "Whoa!" and move out of the way. I sit there and go, to me personally, I probably would have shot that guy.
Yeah, I think
I probably would have. And maybe that would have been what put me in jail. But I saw restraint in what Kyle did a lot of times. So I'm sitting there going, legally or not, yeah, maybe he should have gotten a slap on the wrist, maybe or something, but did he deserve life in prison? No. Did those people deserve to die? No.
Well,
but
that's between him and his guy. We don't know. We don't know
Yeah.
exactly what he was thinking per se, but
of course.
I think it's very likely he manufactured a situation where he could shoot people who attacked him, even though he was the real threat. You have to at least see how Kyle was a threat, and that's now this is to Kyle's point, right? So if you're provoking others to attack him, ergo pointing your fucking gun for no reason, no legal reason, and thereby does provoke an attack, is not entitled to claim the privilege of self-defense against such an attack, except when the attack which ensues is of a type causing the person engaging in the unlawful contact to reasonably believe that he or she is in imminent danger or death. When Zeminski fires the gun into the air, it's reasonable for Kyle to assume he's in imminent danger.
Also, when he gets chased into a corner.
Well, I don't know about corner. There was a lot of open space. That was another thing. Was like, really? He said that was the only place I could ram because there were too many people.
And again, if you really want to get into the nitty gritty of that, man, and when he fires that shot into the air, that is a warning to be like, go away from me, or I will shoot you.
Yeah,
Dude,
anyone choosing to advance after that has made a decision that is their decision.
No. I see. I
You
think
could
you're
see how
thinking
he
it
could
wrong.
be in cahoots. You could at least see how he could be in cahoots with Zeminski, and that would be a convenient.
Russ, I don't.
If he wanted to shoot people, if he just wanted to shoot looters, like he said at CVS 2 weeks earlier, he literally
Russ,
fantasized
but that's not-
about
that's not-
shooting rounds at looters. and they couldn't even ask.
Yeah,
him
and
about
guess
him at
what?
the trial.
People.
We can move on.
But people want, dude, when people see an injustice, people say things, man. Sometimes you see someone doing something, you're like, dude, I like to punch that dude in the face. Am I going to actually punch that guy in the face even if I get the opportunity? Probably not. But it's one of those things where
you see something wrong happening and you wish those people would get their comeuppance. Like, do you not like agree that the looting is wrong? Don't you think that
cars? It was wrong to burn their
I'm
cars.
talking
no
about
doubt
even
about
looting in general. What about all this shit in California where
What do
there's
you
people
think should happen
running
to
into
Kyle?
running
You
into a
don't deserve to die.
Walgreens?
You don't deserve to die.
But what do you think should happen to Kyle? You think Kyle should have been convicted of murder?
I don't understand how, if he was legitimately scared of Zeminski and the crowd, how he can just stand out in the open and make a phone call, right? And then he runs down the street, pops up like some gun ninja, once again pointed at the crowd, and just assumes that these people want to harm him and not disarm him.
But that's the thing, Russ. You can't make that decision. When someone's running after you and they throw a bottle at you and you're stuck in that corner and you're also
you don't know.
You're a 17-year-old kid, man. And all it takes, dude, think about it. You think about us like, I don't know, who do we know? Who do we know
I
who's
also just like was thinking about it like this. Russ, what if it was Vinny? You know Vinny. What if you saw this exact thing happen to Vinny? How would you then change? Would you change your opinion at all, knowing that you know the type of person Vinny is?
I'm going to be honest. I don't know the type of person Kyle is. I think to be honest, I think Kyle is a slightly below average intelligence, man. I got nothing. I shouldn't say I don't hate Kyle. I definitely don't think he is someone who should be an advocate for the right or anything. I think he should just go away. You know what I mean? But I sit there and go, I don't think, taking everything into account and nothing, what is it? Beyond a reasonable doubt, right, Russ? There's a reasonable doubt. There's a reasonable doubt. And so I think that's the best. I think you obsess over it a lot, man. And I love you. Sure. And dude, the thing is, I get caught up in conspiracy theories. Mike gets caught up in conspiracy theories. I know this one's really passionate to you.
It doesn't happen.
But if you're right and it was then of course, if they worked to this, they should all go to jail. It would all be murder. But the proof of it is really hard.
Stuff. And that's letter C here. It says a person who provokes an attack, whether by lawful or unlawful conduct, in this case, unlawful, you're not allowed to point your gun as much as you don't want people to burn cars, with the intent to use such an attack as an excuse to cause death or great bodily harm to his or her assailant is not entitled to claim the privilege of self-defense. And if I had to bet my life, that's what he did.
Well, also, what's the spirit?
You have to prove it. But when I see him laughing about playing Call of Duty,
it's very off-putting.
And laughing about Gage Grosskreutz, an actual EMT who doesn't have a fucking arm anymore, and
but Gage Grosskreutz, let's not pretend that Gage
video game about shooting people and hanging out with the riot squad all night, who has a history of provoking people with weapons and then only showing film of the reaction.
Well, Elijah, see, you're bringing people.
Drew, Richie. Somebody filming The Second Pursuit.
No, but
if it
Elijah
looks like a rat, if it smells like a rat.
But the thing is, but then again, you can't.
Maybe it wasn't enough legally, but how can they not even ask him about the CVS stuff? They didn't. I don't know if they knew about the riot squad. They didn't ask him about it. But
go ahead, Mike.
I was going to say, it's funny that you investigate all of this so thoroughly and are so into the details of this, and then like really like gloss over like a lot of these things when it applies to like the political party that you
Russiagate, man. You should.
I just happen to immerse myself.
But I'm saying if you would take any of this, effort and apply it to those things, you would kind of see what we're talking about.
Yeah, I wish you would dive into Russiagate, man. Russiagate's crazy. If you really think about what they try to do, try to not think about it as Donald Trump. Try to think about it as like a friend of yours,
John Smith.
And look at it like that, and you go, dude, the fact that they were allowed to get away with what they did to him, and the fact that because
they basically lied to get a permit, right?
They lied to spy on him, dude. And that you think of, and then the thing is,
you're calling it Russiagate. You're trying. That'd be like me saying there are no teacups in space because I haven't seen one. You're trying to prove a negative. Yes, the burden of proof is on people to
be able to
prove that he colluded with Russia.
They violated his rights, dude.
Nobody could say that he did.
But they violated his rights by doing that, by using that
false
thing.
He does that all the time. 26
But
allegations.
he's not the government.
Cry me a river.
But see what I mean? That's the thing, because you have
Sucks,
hate
though.
for Donald.
He's a terrible
It's not
person.
about Donald Trump, dude. It's about what they can do. If they can do that to the
So here's
sitting
the thing.
president of the United States, then they can do that to any of us. And that's what's messed up, man. You should be
might
afraid
not
of
have
that
been right.
power.
That might not have been right, but maybe they had something, you know?
They
Maybe-
didn't. That's the point.
You
They
don't
didn't
know
have
that.
anything.
You're trying to prove a negative.
It's not about not proving
You're making
anything.
a-
Dude,
you're
they
making an
lied.
argument from
They
ignorance. Just 'cause
lied.
you haven't seen it.
No,
doesn't mean it
Russ,
doesn't
I've
exist.
studied the thing. They lied. That's what I'm saying. If you studied this and saw it as much as we did.
You haven't seen them 100% of the time. I didn't mean to cut you off. Go ahead.
No. But they lied about it, man, because they wanted. Because the thing is, just like you, they have this feeling that he's so bad. There's got to be something we can get him with.
Well,
There's got to be something we can
Trump,
get him with.
his son deleted a tweet about meeting at Trump Tower for dirt, right? And then there was,
Because, dude,
why is he filing the prosecutor? Let me know if you hear anything. A quote of him, I'm screwed. This is the end of my presidency.
No,
Are
dude,
we going to
What?
ignore? And I mean, I know this is a what about and stuff, but again, it's what are we going to ignore the quid pro quo with Biden and Ukraine?
Does
Does that not matter?
It's not the same because
Does that not have a like? Does that not?
He's on
stink?
video.
Does that
He's on
not stink?
video.
Does that
It's
not
not
stink
the
a little bit
same.
as it relates
on the
to
surface at least? But I think it is
as it
mitigated and
relates
different.
as it relates to what is now happening with Ukraine and how we are like fighting a proxy war, not necessarily with foot soldiers, but with tons of money and supplies enough. Does it not warrant an investigation that the now sitting president was getting a prosecutor fired for investigating his son's company, and they were most likely investigating his son's relationship being on the board of directors of this company? He is on video. You can go YouTube and watch it. I've watched it multiple
Yeah, I'll
times.
give you $1 million or whatever.
He
Yeah.
says
It's $1 billion.
fire this prosecutor by this time, or you're not going to get the
Well,
$1
he
billion.
was notoriously
And
corrupt.
Hold on,
and there were a lot of people.
I want to hear Dean talk. Dean hasn't talked in a while.
Mike, I think you raise a good point.
Please give me more than that. Hold on. I want to.
Well, how is that
years going.
like? How is that not way worse than what was going on with Trump and Russia? Like, there's like an active war going on in Ukraine, and
That we're
Biden
funding.
has a massive that we're funding.
And another thing, we don't
And-
have to carry water for these people. This isn't Biden's not your grandfather. Biden doesn't give a crap about you. Trump doesn't give a crap about me. Like, we have to, that's the thing that I think the American people need to realize is like, these people, they care and they don't. Like, you know what I mean? Like,
They care enough to say it enough to make you think they do.
Exactly. I'm not saying Donald Trump isn't my priest. Donald Trump's not my friend. It's just when I see what they did to Donald Trump, it pisses me off because I know Twitter just proved it. What are they doing to people, man? The government has such this overreach, and they feel they're supposed to be afraid of us. They're supposed to be like, hey, at any point I could
That's
be.
why we have guns.
Yeah, exactly. And they're starting to police jokes. Like, that's one of the reasons why I got out of doing comedy for a while, because I just felt I could just tell when you would do things, you could just tell that people just like it just became this thing where this culture, and now it's permeated into government, is just like can't understand what a freaking joke is. And it's like, dude, all I'm trying to do is express a frustration. All I'm trying to do is say, like, I see this glaring hole in your logic. And the whole thing is now, if you point it out, the FBI is going to shut you down and ruin people's lives. That's the thing that's crazy. The FBI, say this was this podcast isn't worth anything, but say it's $1 million podcast, and all of a sudden I happen to say something like, "Oh, I don't like Joe Biden," and then the FBI shuts me down. That's messed up, man. You're taking people's livelihoods because you don't know what they believe. It's anti-American.
I mean, there is an argument for protecting people from misinformation and hate speech.
But
and-
who's
and-
the arbiter of
and
information?
Yeah, who
riling up a
says
gigantic crowd to go to the Capitol when there are reports of maybe not connected to Trump, but people on his behalf that are ready to shoot people for,
right
for
now?
a coup.
No, hold on. Just
So you err on the side of caution.
right. Well, again, let's go with your argument that he was organizing people to come there to start a coup. In the Constitution, the reason that we have guns is for when the government becomes too tyrannical to use those guns to overthrow those people and get them out. So we're going to go with logic. If they really believe that they're stealing an election,
And that's what it is. They didn't.
That's-
it's just all bullshit. It's just an excuse.
and again, what I'm trying to say is, man, like the reason that Americans even own firearms is to protect themselves from their
this,
government
what's happening. Yeah.
and to protect the country from being taken over by people.
Yeah, I feel bad for some of the people that believed him.
Right,
I
but
do.
but there
But, I
there
mean-
there are people that still believe that happened, and this is the thing, is you have to look at it from a procedural standpoint, and I necessarily don't agree with everything that Tim Pool says about this, but to an extent, when you go and you do things that are prohibited by the state's constitution, and you bypass the legal means of making mail-in ballots of like a
Pennsylvania
verified
did
voting.
this. Pennsylvania. made it-
Pennsylvania, literally, the governor just said, "I'm making this legal," and bypassed the entire state senate when that has to be voted on by the entire state.
And Pennsylvania is one of the states where the at the end of the election. So another reason.
So
the
what I'm
red
trying to
flag
say
goes
is,
up.
man, it's when you say steal an election, sure, there are people like me that 100% believe there were some really awful things happened. And again, if you want to get into the conspiracy part of it, I think it happened to be just like Q, where Q was, they took some stuff that was real and legitimate, and then they took some really crazy things and threw it in there. And then when people believed it because there was some truth in there to suck them in, they said they believe all this crazy stuff.
Conspiracy is their brand at that point.
So what I'm trying to say
Exactly. You see it.
so what I'm trying to say
Alex
is
Jones,
it's the same
terrible
it's the
person.
same thing with the election, man. Like it's the same exact thing, how you have some truth in what
Half truths.
happened with mail-in ballots, and how sure, you not every mail-in ballot's fake. Both my parents
You pull it
voted
down
by
and
mail-in
mess it
ballot
up when you talk.
for Trump.
And I think
but-
there was good reasons for the mail. It was an unusual circumstance with the pandemic.
But
It
at
was a
the end
good-
of the day,
you have to go through the proper
what I-
protocols.
what I-
Maybe there was something
but
there.
they didn't. That's what I'm saying. A lot of
you're right
places
about that
a lot
one.
of places didn't, and
I'm
it
not sure
created
that it affected things enough to change the race.
Yeah,
You
okay,
do that-
That's a good left wing
South
argument.
Park.
South
South Park
fine.
with the
If that's what you
votes.
believe,
Do
that's
you remember?
fine.
Do you remember Cartman? How he went all over the country and stole ballots and kept them at the Hummer dealership
Right,
because
right,
no one
right.
would go there. I mean, when you take a like a chunk of ballots from here and a chunk of ballots from there, and it's sure it might not look like, oh, it's like 10,000 here or like 5,000 there, but when you do that 40 and 50 times and 60 times in different cities all over the country, it adds up.
It
So that's
could
what I'm
add-
trying to say, man. It's there. When people say that there was no fraud and this was the most secure election in history, that is a joke. Like none of these elections are that secure, and to sit there and say that is really, in
And
my
that's-
opinion, trying to compensate to make it look like it was secure and to give that that appearance so
And
that
that's the
people
right-
don't
that's
question
the,
it.
That's the sensible right wing argument, is not the fact that you got to put Trump back in.
And there
they
were
lost-
servers in
or-
Germany.
Or there's anything. None of that. The thing is, our elections need to be fixed. Elections integrity shouldn't be a bipartisan issue, or it should be a bipartisan issue. It shouldn't be something where it's like,
What was
no,
the,
every legal vote needs to be.
Vinny,
counted.
what was we were talking about this a couple weeks ago, the Australian method. Was it Australia?
Oh, from what I've heard, now I could be wrong. Maybe from someone from Australia can fill me in and call me an idiot if I don't. But from what I've heard, is they don't do mail-in voting, and what they do is it's all paper ballots. And what happens is you have the person who looks at the vote, and then you have someone from the from one of the parties and another person from another party on their shoulder, and they if the one person puts it in and one of these people has an objection, then they bring it over. If there's more, then they bring in more people. So there are eyes on every single vote to make sure that no one's cheating, because that's the thing, especially with Donald Trump. This is the thing. We understand being people of more of the right, how much the left doesn't like Donald Trump. And if you convince yourself you're Hitler, I could understand if I thought the left was bringing in Hitler cheating to win an election, because you don't want Hitler to be the leader. So you know what I mean? And when you hear
I
it
think
enough,
there's a lot more evidence that that's what Trump was doing, ironically. And I'm cutting you off. I'm sorry.
No,
Go
no,
ahead.
you're
Sorry.
good. You're
No,
good.
no,
Have you
finish.
seen this article? This is one of the articles that I think is one of the biggest things, where if you read it from a right-wing perspective, you sit there and go like, what the hell is this about? And so the Secret History of Shadow campaign that saved the 2020 election. This whole article, I recommend that everyone read it. It's what is it? You need to read this, because it's all about how the government. This is them admitting that maybe
Basically, this
maybe
is them
yeah.
admitting that they procedurally changed things, like very quietly, and didn't like publicly broadcast it to ensure that things would be like beneficial to the Democratic side prior to the election.
they didn't cheat, but they rigged it.
What did
is
they
how
do
other people
exactly?
put it. So, dude, the article
has
takes
a lot of stuff with like gerrymandering,
It has to do with
mail-in
mail-in
voting,
ballots. It has to do with yes.
voter rolls, and what is that? Ballot harvesting and door-to-door stuff and that kind of stuff. And again, as much as I don't necessarily take the Tim Pool view, he's very good at making it at least reasonable and logical. Let's look at it from like a reasonable, logical standpoint. If you're going to talk about ballot harvesting, when you are in an urban area, you go to a big apartment building, you're going to be able to knock on 100 doors in an hour. You're spending a minute at each door. You say, hey, you're going to vote for blank and blank. Can we, get your signature here and we'll just do your ballot for you. And they just do that 100 doors, right? Where if you're doing that in like a rural, more red area, you like 5 minutes, drive to another house, knock on the door, talk to the person, drive. So you're not even going to get as many numbers when you're doing it that way. So when you take all of those things into consideration, which this article just touches on a lot of the procedural things that they changed, that again in Pennsylvania was not legal. Like the governor just bypassed the legal means of doing it and said, this is how it's going to be.
Yeah, they bypassed in the Pennsylvania Constitution, as I understand it, it says that you can't have mail-in voting. And what happened, it's actually the Republicans tried to put in mail-in voting, and then they went, oh, wait, we can't do this. So it's one of the
for political gain, hopefully for public.
But it's one of those things where it violates the Constitution, and the way the thing is,
no, they put it up, and then realized it was going to have to be voted on, and then they took it back.
Yeah, exactly.
So like they knew people were going to see it and have to vote on it, and they're like, oh crap, and took it away and just bypassed it illegally.
You guys should send me stuff like this. I would like to look at it.
This is one of the things,
because saying there wasn't at least some voter fraud, and I only
There's
know
voter fraud in every election.
Well, it's hard to quantify.
Too, and there's
for
voter
sure.
fraud with live voting, and there were good reasons.
Said it's hard to
for
quantify
mail-in ballots, but
very difficult.
They might have done some things. The point I think was that they had their shot, whether or not it was the court was right. Like he had 60 court cases, and half the time it really was like you watch January 6th, whether you agree with how they put it all together or not, it really does show you just how ludicrous some of the claims were. Maybe some like
of course, but Donald Trump's not signing off on every single. People were just throwing and trying to get stuff to stick.
You had those two people, those lawyers that were like talking about like you had the one, Lynn Wood, and
who's the other one?
I can't remember her name.
I know I can't remember her name.
She's just very Southern though. She's like super Southern, and these two lawyers were going out and talking about how there was these servers in Germany that like there was like a raid on, and how like they're going to be released. What was her name? The Kraken, as they called it. And again, that's what I was talking about with the whole Q aspect of what happened with the election. Is you have legitimate claims by certain people, and when you say laughed out of court, man, I think that's really, really painting with a broad brush. You had some things that were ruled on and said, on the merits of this case, this is true, but you don't have standing.
Yeah,
and basically what that is, basically what that is being able to take a technicality that really doesn't apply to the situation and using it to hide behind. And honestly, man, I was very disappointed the Supreme Court threw out the stuff that they did. And I was also disappointed with the whole Mike Pence thing, and that's why Mike Pence was lambasted by everyone who was a Trump supporter, because he did actually have the power to veto it and say, no, we're going to get different electors and we're going to see what actually happened. But my whole point is, man, there's
how is that like? How could the vice president like go? No, my God,
because it's written into the laws.
He kind of becomes king of the session
it's written into the laws, man. It's not
a formality.
Well, that's what the left believes. People, there's been times when it has,
but it's in there as a
vice president could be. It's my guy.
No,
but it's in there as a safeguard. That's what it. There's checks and balances.
So I believe it was when I forget what year it is. I think it was Jackson. This happened once. When what happened is there was so much craziness with the election that they couldn't tell what happened. So you know what they did? They gave 10 days. Remember, I'm not sure if you watched, me and Mike, oh my goodness, it was horrible. We watched CNN and wanted to see there and be like, are they going to talk about it? Are they going to talk about the claims of election integrity? And one of the things that Ted Cruz, as much as there's lots of things that I don't like about him, but he was saying, like, we need the 10 days. This has been proven before. It happened once with another election when it was real messy. And we had 10 days for Congress to look over all the evidence and decide, did this election go right? Because what happens if an election's so muddled? Do you know what's supposed to happen? If an election's so ugly that they go, you know what? This was done horribly, which I think is at least a decent argument for the right, because it's like, hey, we just changed everything all of a sudden. the states are supposed to vote, and each state gets one vote. And the thing
You
was,
see how it could be a convenient excuse, though, for,
of course,
for
to
justifying violence instead of
but that's not about just
the results of election.
But the
like
thing
every
was,
other.
is
wasn't
that-
really like the only violence was the Capitol Police shooting somebody, and she happened to be a right winger.
140 cops got hurt. I mean,
FBI opened the doors and let people in.
I think that pales in comparison to the disrespect they did to the Capitol and to our country. I think that's the most sickening part. You know, a guy sitting behind the desk putting his feet up, like that's the.
Well, they also showed that a lot of those
In my
people
opinion.
were like in cahoots with like left wingers, and there was a lot of like left wing agitation.
there's a lot of stuff. If you go,
some of that was deliberately construed, I think,
but you also have Ray Ebbs, who was a guy who literally moved. He hasn't been. This is what's crazy. This is one of the craziest things. This is what gives some validity to conspiracy. Ray Ebbs, who was the night before in the middle of the streets of Washington saying, "We got to go in there. We got to do this," hasn't been arrested, has ties to the FBI. A lot of people think that maybe Pelosi also pulled back the National Guard.
Yeah, they asked for more security, and she was like, "No."
And she was like, "No." So, and then they opened the doors. So again, this is the Kyle. This is
too late.
But this is our Kyle Rittenhouse moment.
Yeah, dude. No. This is, you know what, you're going through these like hoops to make this connection with Kyle Rittenhouse, and we're trying to tell you that there are people that
I'm not saying we're right. I'm just saying this is the argument on this
current
side.
FBI workers opening those doors and letting people in, and then people that are connected to the FBI in the crowd helping agitate people. You don't think that if Donald Trump was organizing and getting these people to come down there and protest what was going on, that there would be people who hate him trying to get things to make it really bad for him? Because you've seen what they've done since.
Sure.
You've seen what they've done since. They've used it as like their Pandora's box to do whatever they want. And now it looks really good for them that happened. And it's just amazing that some amazing, horrible event happened.
I just think you should play devil's advocate and look at that. PBS did a pretty good job breaking down some of the key findings from the
PBS is government funded.
Okay, but
Capitol
it shows
Police,
you
hold on.
what they compiled. It shows you the ripple effect. It shows you some of the examples of the ludicrous claims. Not that they were all necessarily ludicrous, but it kind of shows they were willing to just throw anything to the wall to see what stuck.
But that's
and
what
when
the,
not
that's,
enough
that's normal.
stuck, all that was left was we got to go and just the best they could. What I was starting to say an hour ago was the best case Trump could try to make is, look, I wasn't connected to the Proud Boy. Like, I know Roger Stone, like, hangs out with the Proud Boys and the Oath Keepers, but no, I didn't want to actually hang Mike Pence. That was them electing an actual gallows. That was them getting 40 feet away. If I had known they were that close, I would have done something.
But the Capitol, so another thing is the Capitol Police.
Their election of duty, frankly.
Capitol Police opened up the doors, and that's something that even AOC goes, how can I be safe? AOC even brings us up of, I saw video of the Capitol Police opening up the doors. And her theory is, oh, maybe Trump had his people open up the doors. No,
right?
but you see how, but no one wants to interview those Capitol Police because it's one of those things where you go, oh, but it's obviously going to be a telling part of the story. So it just seems like they kind of want to show this story. But anyways, here's bringing this back up, the thing that I had there. It talks about how this handshake between the business and labor was just one of the components of vast cross-partisan campaign to protect the election, an extraordinary shadow effort dedicated not to winning the vote, but ensuring it would be free and fair and credible and uncorrupted. Now, look, their work touched every aspect of the election. They got states to change voting system and laws to help secure hundreds of millions in public and private funding. They're literally talking about, if you look at this trying to read between the lines, they're literally saying that people conspired to change the elections under the umbrella of COVID. And that's the reason it was
under the guise of election security.
Just the same, and now they flip that onto Republicans and go, you don't believe that the elections weren't secure, and they're like, yes, we do, just like you did the election before. And that's the whole part that is so frustrating, because the whole thing is, it doesn't matter if it's left or right. Elections need to be secure. So how do we do that?
It's the same story every time. It just flip-flops.
Exactly. Yeah. And guess what? Voting machines can be hacked. We know that. I'm not saying it happened, but we know it can happen. I've seen a special on HBO that was run by Democrats to show that it could happen. So we need to get away from machines. We need to get away from mail-in voting. We need to get to a point where it's one person,
needs
one
to be
vote.
done by the military.
I wouldn't
hand.
I
Why
wouldn't
are
be
you
against
so
it.
sure mail-in voting is more prone to fraud though?
Because it is, because it's not monitored by anybody.
Chain of custody.
It's not monitored by anybody, man. Anybody, I mean, listen, again, you can say what you want, but there was proof that they were sending in like ballots from places that people weren't living. I mean, and I'm not saying that was enough to single-handedly change whether or not he won or not. But when you have that and you have verifiable proof that people are just sending in ballots from places that no one lived, from places that people were dead for
You don't have
years.
to
Dude,
be there in person.
somebody in Arizona won by 15 votes this election.
Right.
That's crazy.
So it's just
15 votes.
Right.
When there's that much you know what, it's too important. It's too important of a thing because the thing that happens if we lose our belief in the elections, then America's dead. And that's the whole thing where it's not about I'm right, Trump needs to be in. I don't care. I don't want any of these people in office, but guess what? If we can at least agree that the election was fair and that this is what people want and that people are allowed to speak so we can argue about what facts are.
then getting banned when you try to bring it up.
that's
That's
the thing.
another thing, man. I mean, how can you say that doesn't stink?
It's the government. The government wants power. So right now, the left is all about growing their power. If the right was all about growing the government's power, they would be all about the right, and they would be doing all those things. Trump came in as a disruptor. As much as you don't like him, I get not liking him. I understand. But he came in as the middle finger because they wanted to jam Hillary Clinton down our throats. That was the big thing. And dude, this is the thing I don't understand. How are you not pissed off that Bernie Sanders didn't get in? I was a Bernie guy. I would have
preferred Bernie over.
But they screwed him with the superdelegate system. They screwed him. And then you know what happened? A bunch of people like me, I didn't vote. I decided not to vote. I decided to get food because I thought the world was going to end. But what is it? I know so many people, not so many people, but I heard enough people, Bernie people were like, you know what? Republican. Trump was the middle finger. And that's and he was brought in to disrupt. He wasn't brought in to do anything but just put someone in there that would made them go crazy. And it happened. It worked. So we need I think the biggest thing is we need outsiders. We need people who aren't politicians.
Let's have him coach the Eagles too. Every
again,
time he talked, he sounded like an asshole, not a president.
Right. Okay.
That's where
Well, when the government treats us like a-holes the whole time, it's
I don't know.
nice when
At
it
the
goes
same
back a
time,
little
don't
bit.
you guys kind of want to see the old school Trump debates like on YouTube? It'll be entertaining.
They are.
Have the six pack.
No, dude, they are good. But Russ, please read this article because I think if you read this and come from a cynical standpoint, and think about it if it was the other way
Send me
around.
all that stuff you got.
Yeah,
I'm
sure.
interested in that.
Dude, I know you're open. I know you're generally open minded. It's just I like doing this in person. We do it over text, and it's like it might as well be two retards.
Yeah, that's a good way. I mean, good way to send certain things. And I think if
Not
you
there's anything against retard.
yeah, if you could put aside your mistrust of PBS and disdain for the January 6th hearings even existing, and at least take a look at what they put together, you might at least see where people are coming from as far as going, oh,
But
this
is the thing, man.
threw everything at the wall, and then when nothing stuck because half of it was ludicrous,
Again, man. But
the only thing left was,
when you say put aside your disdain and mistrust for that stuff, like basically what you're saying is like disregard like straight up knowledge. Like this is a thing. Like
PBS is that bad? PBS,
yeah, dude, it's
a
federally
lot of it-
funded.
So here's Jordan Peterson said something really good, and it honestly kind of gets the left off the hook in a lot of ways, and I kind of agree, but I believe there's an undercurrent of government. But supposedly through psychology, people who are more left leaning are more likely to ostracize people who are conservative. So conservatives can sit with people they disagree with, and they don't want to remove them. There are lots of liberals who are okay. Russ is obviously one of those people, but there is a subset of liberals who go, I don't like that guy's views. Get him out of here. And what happens, and what he thinks happens, is over the last 50 to 100 years, what has happened is it's been that slow little kick a conservative out every couple of years because they don't like the way that they don't like the way that they do things. They don't like the way they think about things. And now our institutions are so left leaning that when there's these obvious things that are wrong, it goes into this, into an echo
if you disagree with me, you're not being fair.
Exactly. And that's the thing. I would never, but I'm more, I feel like, of the conservative bent, or someone who is a liberal who likes conservatives because I see the value in them, is someone who, like, they just don't want that. They don't want the challenge. They think that it's disrespectful. They think that they're the problem, that it's not going to work, instead of noticing, like, hey, there's probably 1 million people who think just like that person, and they have to be able to fit into society just as much. And so you can't just throw out what they want, because even the dumbest person in the room is right sometimes. You know what I mean? Even so, like, that's the thing. It's a devaluing of people in a lot of ways. And I get it. It's hard to deal with someone who's always, pushing back against you or has a viewpoint that you're like, what? But at the same time, sometimes, you know what I mean? Like the person's right, and it's okay. It doesn't mean they're right all the time, but even if they're right 1 out of 10 times or 1 out of 100 times and you're wrong, it gives you perspective. It humbles you. I don't know.
Well, go ahead.
No, I was just saying, I just think that that's the thing where I think the big thing is, at least you're sitting here, at least you're here. There's so many
I've
liberals
always
who
enjoyed
want,
our debates and stuff. And,
Oh, no.
we agree on more than we disagree
exactly,
on.
but that's the country, man. And I think the thing is, imagine if Dean was just telling you a bunch of crap about me that
Dean's
wasn't
an idiot. I've never agreed with Dean on anything.
No, but the thing is like, what I feel like happening, at least what it seems like, is that somebody is sitting there and poisoning the well, so we can't agree on facts. Like, the left and the right is supposed to. I want to not care about politics anymore. That's what I really want. But what happens is you need a healthy left and you need a healthy right, talking to each other constantly, balancing everything out.
The issue nowadays is, I think, in my opinion, the right just ignores the left, and they're like, it's not even worth debating.
That's what's
Like,
happened.
we'll
That's
just,
sad.
let it go.
Yeah.
It's not worth the time.
I feel like Trump, unfortunately, as much as he was the middle finger, he united a lot of the left had a lot of mini factions. They do, because AOC and say, who's the guy from West Virginia, Manchin, they don't agree about anything. But when it comes to not being about Trump, they agree. And it's weird because it's almost like this unifying thing is when it's something on the left and they're willing to kind of give up some of their beliefs to defeat what they think is a monster. As weird as it is, I think has hurt the left, because I think the left is supposed to be more fractured. The way that I look at it, I don't think the left is very healthy anymore. And that's what's sad, because I would like a healthy left wing, because the left wing, in my opinion, looks at problems and go, there's a problem, I see it. And the right wing is supposed to look out for order. So it's kind of like order and chaos. And one of the things where it's like the left kind of comes up with a new idea and the right scrutinizes it. And then eventually, if the left gets it over the finish line, then the right kind of makes it work, is the best way to do it. So it's almost like your accounting department and your like creative department, but now they're not talking to each other and they're talking crap on each other
there's
constantly.
way too much animosity, and it's two teams. It really is, for better and probably more often worse. And I don't know. I think kind of getting to what you were saying with the discussions in general, like it's good to realize that like I'm wrong, like sometimes, and
Sure.
and so being at least confronting opposing views. It's like I think Galileo had a quote before he was murdered by people who disagreed with him or whatever.
It's crazy because he was actually tight in the church for a long time. It's nuts if you think about it.
All he was saying was you shouldn't be afraid to look through the telescope, because if what you're saying is true, then it'll only further confirm your truth. But
Yeah.
if what you're saying is not true, then you have a chance to replace fiction with truth, and that's one of the greatest blessings. Realizing you were wrong is a blessing, and that, I mean,
The heliocentric thing, you're dead. Like, it's great. Heliocentric
it almost makes me
universe.
wish I was wrong sometimes.
No, dude, the thing is, like today, one of the things I was studying more of the vaccine things, and I found out that one of the trials, somebody actually instead they overstated. It wasn't the fact that they said that they said all the animals in the study died. Now, and I've been using that for a while. The thing was, it was like, no, some of the animals in the study died for sure, but a lot of them, the mRNA vaccine just didn't do anything, or actually they were a little sicker. But the person to sell it, who was a right-wing person, said all the animals died. Those to me are two different things. One saying you're going to take this and you're going to die. The other one saying it might be worse. So you know what I mean? Like, that's the thing. It's about sometimes shoring up your facts and trying to.
Well, I mean, like, if I can, man, and this is obviously more directed to Russ. Let's take Occupy Wall Street, right? Everybody was about that. Everybody. I was at the Philly thing. Like, I went there. I saw Circus Survive play down there. Like, Tim Pool, that's how he got big, isn't it? He was at Occupy. He, like, started his whole filming thing down there. Everybody was in agreement that what happened with all the bailouts was horrible. Everyone that supported that needed to go. And everyone was unified against that. Everyone knew the corporations were bad and the pharmaceutical industries were bad. And now you fast forward 10 years and everyone magically forgets that we were all united against all of these interests, now supports all of them. And none of them changed anything except they said that Donald Trump was bad and that white people are some horrible race of people that enslaved the whole world and continue to do so. That's all that's changed. Nothing they've done has changed. So I'm trying to get at you from a logical standpoint. How do you go in 10 years from knowing that all these corporations and these pharmaceutical lobbying interests and all these people are bad to now believing that they have your best interests at heart, especially when it comes to this vaccine? Because this vaccine is bad, dude. And I genuinely believe I saved someone from my job at getting it. I was like, please don't do this. I don't care who doesn't talk to you in your family. And she was being pressured at Giant. I work at Giant at a deli, and they pressured her to get it, and I helped her not get it, and she didn't get it.
Yeah.
She's like one of the only people in their family not to get it.
Suddenly died is a really interesting thing that's coming out.
Suddenly is
suddenly. It's morticians.
Stu Peters.
So morticians are starting to come out and go, hey, we're seeing these really weird blood clots in people.
Yeah,
and they're not normal. We've dissected 1 million bodies before.
It's only started to come up in 2021.
And this is the thing. I think some people go super far and go, hey, this was evil. We're trying to kill people versus, hey, this was rushed and there was so much money behind it. What?
I said bingo. It's so obvious.
It was rushed. There's so much money behind it that who cares about what the information says?
Especially when they're not held liable.
Well, any business has an incentive to make money, but they also have an incentive to create useful products and services. So there's a yin and a yang. It's not all just selfish.
No, but think
money
about this. If you're
grubbing.
big pharma, who cares if I hurt you? Because guess who you come
You're
into?
not liable.
You're not liable. And if I hurt you, who you coming to?
But they have phase 1, phase 2, phase 3 trials. They're not run by Johnson & Johnson or Pfizer.
But the trials also didn't go long enough. What happens in 5 years? What happens in the trials were short?
Okay, what happens if you don't get vaccinated? Because we've had a million people die.
You got two people.
Dude,
Are you vaccinated?
Yeah, he got vaccinated. But
You got two people in this room that never got vaccinated. Got COVID one time. Have you had COVID more than once?
No, I've only had
just the one time we got it. And have never, it's not like I section myself off or wear a mask ever. I spend all time out in public, never got it again, never got sick again.
I've got quadruple Moderna and I'm still here. That's a tiny sample size. It's bad statistics. There's a French lady who was 122. She was a chain smoker. So, we should all chain smoke if we want to live a long time.
No,
you need a big sample size. The big sample size suggests there are studies that say you're, I think, 90-something times more likely to live if you got it.
Those are all thrown out at this point.
Yeah, dude, all that stuff.
The FDA, it's the Center for Disease Control.
Yeah, Russ, that are all corrupt and worrying more about your tweets than your health.
No, they're humans worrying about humans. The virus doesn't.
They're not.
Give a shit about you.
The FDA.
How do the vaccines work? How does the RNA vaccine work? Somebody explain it to me.
How does it work? It goes into your DNA and you what's it called? You produce the spike protein.
Russ, that's irrelevant because when it comes down to it, do you believe in the scientific method?
Of course.
Yes or no? Okay. Do you believe in the process behind the scientific method?
Yes.
Do you agree that there needs to be variables set aside and there needs to be controls? And if you don't do that, if you don't do it properly, you will get results that aren't actually factual. Like, you will get an outcome that is biased towards where you want to put it.
Who says they didn't do that? Have control group and everything. I mean, they had studies.
How fast? This is a revolutionary technology, and they rushed it out.
So here's a couple things that enabled it to be a little quicker. Fortunately, they were already working on the RNA platform for years.
It doesn't matter.
It does a little bit.
No, it doesn't, Russ, because
until I tell you.
It was still quick. And yes, maybe.
And think about it. During the pandemic, at the peak, all the liberals were comparing conservatives that refused to get the vaccine. They were saying, "Oh, well, you have kids. You would give them the polio vaccine, right?" And tried to, damage their credibility in that way. But
what about the Spanish flu thing?
It takes years. How old is the polio vaccine? It takes years and years and years.
There's a lot.
Hey, they're not selling they're not giving it away for free. Like, there is profit behind these vaccines, so they're gonna do what they need to do to get it out there.
Not to mention that the pharmaceutical stocks are like one of the most owned stocks by all the members of Congress that made money from approving and mandating these things. Okay, but let's just. I forgot what I was going to say.
Well, there's no way around the financial incentive, but there's also an incentive to save lives. And vaccines have historically been our best way
But
to
they're not
lessen,
but it's not a
lessen the deaths
vaccine.
from
It's a
diseases.
new
It's a gene
technology.
therapy. It's not
gene
even a
therapy.
vaccine.
What's different about it?
Ever
It's not
so
gene
many.
therapy. It's not gene
It
therapy.
hasn't been
It is a gene
proven. It
therapy.
hasn't been tested thoroughly.
It has. They did phase
And
1,
it's been
phase 2,
proven
phase
that
3
it isn't
trials.
safe. Like there are side effects.
Relative to coronavirus that has killed 1 million Americans,
but
almost entirely unvaccinated.
Russ, myocarditis,
It's hurting
pericarditis.
people that were young
Right.
that weren't at
Sometimes
risk.
a seatbelt will hurt you, maybe even kill you.
All right,
but
all
the
right.
statistics-
No, that's
Alright,
like
can
being
we-
in a car that like just is fucked,
Let me just
or like a seatbelt that doesn't work.
Can we at least can we not like ignore the fact that, you know, for example, I've been watching soccer religiously since like 2015, 2016. I mean, every game that my team plays, games that I don't even care about. I love soccer. Never once in the entire time I've been watching soccer since 2015, 2016 have anyone in the crowd or any player collapsed ever. Ever. You have commentators that have been commentating for 50 years. You have 70-year-old dudes that have been on the mic through, forever, through the entire thing in Vietnam, just after World War II. Never seen this many people just collapsing for no reason. And you know what? The underlying thread that is in common sense that these people have started collapsing, dude, is they've gotten this vaccine. All of them. And it's not, it's unarguable. You can say that you can't prove that it's directly linked to it, but what you cannot deny is there's coincidences adding up and starting to stack up around this vaccine. And dude, you want to get into the conspiracy of it, man? There's some people that say Trump was a plant.
Yeah, no,
There's people that say that Trump was a plant
he
because
played the heel. It's like the
Because
WWE.
you think about what he did with the vaccine, right? You also think about how America changed after he was president and when he ran, because a lot of the things that people valued, having a safe country, raising a family, that kind of stuff, owning a home, the quote unquote American dream, all that stuff was associated with him, like exclusively. And then they made everyone hate him. So now you have everyone actively hating things that are good for them. You know what I mean? Because this country was, whatever you want to say about this country, when you want to say about racism, you have people fleeing war-torn countries all over the world to come here. And it's because you have a fair shot. It might not be the best system, but it beats a lot of other ones.
Sure.
No question. So what I'm trying to say is, there's even an argument that with these vaccines, that Trump played his part to get them rushed out, to make sure that these companies were not going to be held liable for anything that happened to them. And he could be playing his part as like the greatest heel of all time. And they even prefaced him for it by having him be the heel in the WWE. So I'm just saying, man, there's nothing out of the realm of
The
conspiracy.
whole thing is just unfortunate, in my opinion. Like
Think
it's a
about-
perfect storm.
Okay, so all right.
which again adds up to like the giant conspiracy
Well, it is
thing.
a perfect storm because literally, like, in the face of a global pandemic, like very serious pandemic, the thought pattern is to get a vaccine as quickly as possible. And unfortunately, there are corporations financially incentivized to make that happen.
So think of
They
it.
don't
And
have
you-
anyone's
you
best
have,
interest at
like,
heart.
Yeah, so you have like
They're still human beings,
don't-
and
yeah,
they're
but-
doctor. They're smart people.
But
Russ,
you have-
this is
you
the
have
thing.
you,
this
do you
is-
even know the history of the medical
Not
industry,
all of
man?
it, not
do
all
you know
of
the
it.
history?
Sure,
Okay,
there's some
okay.
dark ones,
well,
but we also have Band-Aids.
right.
and
Research
Johnson
the history of the
Johnson
medical
makes
industry
tons of
and
stuff
tell
we
me
use
what the
every day.
medical industry was like in like the late 1800s
Clearly,
and 1900s.
this is
It
the
was
way
all,
I
it was
would
all
frame it.
medicinal herbs and stuff, and then they have these people, Rockefellers, all these people come in, and now they have petroleum-based medicines that they give people that have side effects that they give you more medicines for. Doctors don't make money if you're healthy, dude. They do not make money if you're healthy. The only way that they make money is if you still have problems you have to come back for.
Here.
Or
Go-
if they
go
make
to
a
the- go to the
vaccine
s-
that works, and people will buy it because it works.
Russ, they didn't.
It
People didn't
doesn't
buy it.
work.
The government
didn't
already
buy
bought
it.
it, so they don't care. They just have
Well,
to
they
pump some
still-
crap
they still
out.
made their money.
here.
Who
This
says
is the
it's
way
crap?
you look at it, in my opinion.
Why do you think it's crap? It went through.
I wanna
phase
hear
three
it, Dean.
trials.
Does the vaccine have side effects? Yes or no?
Yeah, it can.
It does. So clearly, it was rushed through approval because it wasn't safe. It wasn't 100% safe.
Not
So
100%, but
either
pretty
you're
damn
And,
close.
valuing-
and Dean's vax. Seeing someone who's coming from someone who had it done to him.
And I'm honestly like disappointed because the rhetoric at the time was you were going to be. I wasn't concerned with my own health. I was concerned about my
Ostracized.
family.
You were getting
My
ostracized.
family members. I didn't want to get my family members sick, and the whole premise was
Was
that
you won't-
wouldn't get it and
you won't be able to spread it.
You wouldn't be as
And that
likely.
was-
And
That's
there were
not
news
true.
clips.
It
There
is
were news
true.
clips.
99%
there were
efficacy.
Russ.
Then
There were
98,
news
then
clips
97, all the way
everywhere.
down to 20.
Everywhere of these news anchors saying, if you get this shot, you will not spread this virus.
Biden
If you get
said
this
that.
shot,
That shouldn't have been that.
right? But it's
100%
all
about it.
over the news.
What
And
is
when
the
you,
saying?
Hey, notice that wasn't misinformation, was it?
right,
It is
were
technically
any of those? But
misinformation.
are they being held accountable? Are any of those people banned?
No.
Are any of those people lose their job? No. That's what I'm trying to say, man. Is that there's a severe double standard, and when all the double standard leads on the side of the establishment and supporting a pharmaceutical industry that we all agreed 10 years before was horrible and no one liked.
There was a horrible aspect. I would agree. I wouldn't agree that everything Johnson & Johnson or Pfizer did was horrible. Look at all the
They're
stuff
these
they make
giant
that we
they're-
use.
They're
We,
giant
we
groups.
were protesting them 10 years prior, saying their relationship with the government was not okay, that they had all these lobbying interests in the government. We were
Fair.
literally united. Everybody
Here, show-
agreed with that.
Show what I
Yeah,
have.
Vinny-
on,
Vinny-
hold
Vinny
on.
wants me to put this up.
Show what I have on the
a
screen because this is
successful
this is what we're just trying to say in a meme. This is exactly what we're trying to say. This is
It's too funny.
Yeah, and I think that's overly cynical because there's also an incentive to
I think
save
he's using a loo
human
too,
beings'
like they
lives
use at
from the
the,
worst
jeweler.
pandemic in 100
He's
years.
Looking through the loo.
Look at this. All right, so
Worst
I googled
pandemic in
va-
100 years. What was the other one? The Spanish flu.
Yeah,
You want to
why
talk?
did Pfizer hold on?
Can we
total
talk
deaths.
about how
why
the Spanish
did Pfizer want to hide their
their side
research
effects for 75
for
years?
75 years? Come on, man.
About
That's
what?
a red flag. But they didn't want to
They
release.
didn't want to release the findings of all the tests and like the research they did about the side effects and all like the aftermath of giving the vaccine. They tried to hide that information for 75 years, just like they did with JFK, by the way.
well, maybe they're
which is now
maybe they're
coming out
not
that the FBI
forced to disclose
was
that.
involved. Weird.
From a general standpoint, I think you should see the utility of vaccines.
Of
yes, this
course.
was
Right, properly
okay,
produced and
right.
tested over a
If they
normal
work.
period of time.
With
But you're
not new
gambling either
technology
way.
that all of a sudden that's like me if I made a new beer that I put, I don't know, what's it called? I put not some chemical in and then said, this is beer. And you go, yeah, I understand I can drink it like beer and it's administered like beer, but it's not really beer. You know what I mean? It's a new thing.
It was unique in that normally a vaccine. Okay, you have live vaccines, which is we're going to give you a little bit of the chicken pox, kind
Yeah,
of like
that's weakened.
we're gonna have you fight me, so it gives you a better chance to fight Bruce Lee. You're gonna fight a little chicken pox. They have dead vaccines like polio.
Yeah.
You can't actually get polio from the vaccine. The polio is dead, but your body kind of sees what it looks like
When-
or whatever.
Why
Next
were
time the actual polio
these
shows
old
up, it
school
recognizes
vaccine
it.
technologies like always worked in the past? Why do you? I just thought of
Why
this,
didn't they
like,
stick with that? Some of them
why did-
tried to.
Why do you think?
I think.
Yeah.
Fucking money, man.
Yeah, but
these are the funny thing is this is actually if you go back to what mRNA vaccines were actually used for and the reason we call it gene therapy is because these were
Like it can literally just fuck you up, and then like, what are you gonna do? Like,
You're
is there
messing
a
with your
reverse? Can I get a
DNA.
reverse
so
vaccine
can,
now?
so can a seatbelt, so can the virus.
yeah, but a DNA man, your DNA
That's-
makes
that-
you who
that-
you are.
Look into it. That was I'm pretty sure debunked. It doesn't actually change your DNA. What it does, in my understanding, is what is unique about it.
Then why is it
instead of-
causing these?
Why
heart
is it an
issues?
mRNA vaccine? mRNA
Because it-
literally means it programs the RNA is what programs your DNA.
myocarditis generally isn't going to kill you. It may not be fun. A small percentage.
No,
might
no,
have
no,
liver
dude,
effects.
you cannot belittle myocarditis.
I would rather
Generally-
have
generally-
COVID
No,
than
dude,
myocarditis.
myocarditis is a death sentence within 10 years.
I would way rather have COVID than myocarditis.
100.
Because you have
1,000
myocarditis your
bazillion
entire
Dude,
life.
myocarditis is really, really bad, and it's being poo-pooed, and it's one of the
Very
biggest
tiny
problems.
percentage.
No,
You
dude,
can get myocarditis from coronavirus probably, but
No, what?
don't
That's
quote me on
the
that.
thing. Everyone's been dude. The whole reason they wanted to push everything down their throat and they wanted to make everyone get it is because this is a giant. At the very least,
Protects- limits the spread.
No, it's like the
No, wait,
It
wait,
doesn't
it's not
limit the
proof.
spread. It was
More
already
people-
proven
like
that it
the-
doesn't.
more
It does.
people.
That's not
government
true.
does it.
Russ, did you know that more people now have died who have gotten the vaccine of coronavirus than people who died that didn't have
That's
it?
because most of the country has gotten the vaccine at this
60.
point.
It's like 60%.
I don't think your numbers are right then.
I
It
literally
just came
checked the
out.
CDC's website like not even a week ago, and it's like 64% of America is vaccinated.
Yeah, so there's enough that you're going to sit. Dude, the thing is, Russ, it's not. This is the thing. I'm not trying to say you're bad. I'm not saying anyone's dumb for getting it done. Go ahead, Dean. I'm sorry.
What I wanted to say is it's not the ideology behind the vaccine. If you are convinced that you need the vaccine and that others need the vaccine, no one is saying that you can't get it. it's forcing other people to do it
And
Well, that's a
shaming
different
them if they
argument than
don't.
whether or not
Right.
it works or it's
Why-
worthwhile.
yeah.
for
Well,
an
we don't know if
individual.
it works, and that's the reason we're hesitant to get it. It's kind of like getting
Right.
the new. How about if
kinda
they came
do.
out with no, but if they came out with the
No
new,
one has a problem with anyone else getting the vaccine if they're educated. But the problem was if they're
Coercion,
educated about it.
coercion,
The
whatever.
problem was that apparently it was impossible to be well educated on it because all
You
the
had
facts about
doctors.
it
You
were
had doctors
incorrect.
coming out with studies that they did themselves, with evidence, test results from patients that they've personally treated, coming out talking about this stuff, getting banned on social media, getting fired from their jobs, getting let go from the hospitals that they work at because they were providing factual study findings, and it was called misinformation.
and the guy who
That's not what I'm trying to get you to realize, man, is people that have to do that are not the good guys. Like, I don't understand how you can justify people that are taking doctors
Maybe
that
the studies were flawed. in
Did you
their
guys
right,
hear
and maybe
about
the studies that they're giving out are flawed.
Okay,
the
fair enough.
recent
So-
news out of Florida?
yeah, the Ron DeSantis is
Um,
making a task force that's going
right.
to fight the information
Florida
because of how
Supreme Court, is going to review it.
bad it is. Because
Yeah.
this,
I hope.
this is the
I
thing,
really
Russ.
hope they.
I hope the thing is, it's not about believing everything that we say or anything like that. It's about looking at government and going like I've been taught this since I was a young kid, so to me it comes natural, and I understand you want to have trust in the system, and maybe it comes from security or maybe it comes from lack of seeing evidence. But my dad's always taught me to be like, watch that MFer, because those people do not care, and they get infiltrated by people with the most money. Who's paid the biggest fine in history of America? Pfizer. Why? Because they hurt people, man. They have so much money they don't care. Because when you have money, most things are legal for a price. I can kill you with a vaccine if I don't have if I don't have to take liability, which they don't have to take. I can kill you with a medical procedure if I have insurance.
Why were they paying off Fauci if everything was legit? Like, why do they need to lobby in that sense?
I think Russ might think that we're like attacking evidence-based science, and what we're trying to say is their science is flawed. Their science isn't good enough for me to put something in my
and it
body.
keeps
Well, let's
it
look at
kept
it.
changing,
Let's
too.
look at it logically. If we agree that, hopefully, maybe not, that I just googled diseases eradicated by vaccines, and some of these are still around, but are dramatically less. Polio, tetanus, flu, hepatitis B, hepatitis A,
The
rubella,
technology
those-
based on them is different.
measles,
all
whooping
those
cough.
You're
were
talking
tested.
an
Rotavirus.
ideological.
Yes, there's long-term
They
data.
were
there are
all
different kinds of
tested
vaccines.
properly.
Okay,
This
fair,
is
it's
not-
reliable.
Relying on
Okay, so that point is
functional
moot.
vaccine.
Bringing that
It's
up
not-
doesn't mean
it's-
anything.
It's not moot. The point is studying for a test, training for a fight, getting a vaccine,
It got
wearing a
rushed.
seatbelt
Right.
can help in general.
We're not
So,
we're not
here's what you-
arguing against vaccines. We're
Talking
saying
about this
Rushed relative to what?
vaccine.
to mandate government officials to have it have to be vaccinated.
That's a different argument. I
someone-
can
okay,
get behind that, but whether or not it's worth taking as an individual, I have to disagree because listen,
That's okay. But we should have had this is the thing. What year is it? It's 2022, almost 2023. We should have had this conversation when this was
yeah, no, I
happening.
know the people don't want to hear about it
and,
anymore.
I mean,
just-
No,
I just want you to
no,
know
I'm not
how,
saying
how
that.
it works because
you
it's
couldn't
interesting.
have the
I want you to know
conversation.
how it
Because you
works
would get
'cause it's
banned.
interesting.
We weren't.
Yeah,
we
you would
weren't
get
allowed to have this
censored.
conversation, and that's what's
and
really
again,
sad.
that doesn't like make your side look any better, man. The fact that people weren't allowed to have these discussions at all
And then
makes,
and
makes
then
it
a
look
lot
like
of
they
those
were
arguments
scared.
turn out to be right.
And
Yeah.
again, just for example, my dad had a heart attack in 2019. Okay, he is one of those high risk people. I begged and begged and begged and begged my dad not to get a vaccine because of what I believe, because I didn't believe that they were good for him, and I honestly believe it was going to kill him. Him and my mom lied to me about it. Got the Johnson & Johnson one, which was the live vaccine, which wasn't mRNA technology, and he's okay.
And my dad got it too, but
you
I
got
didn't want him to. But
you got to think about it like this, man.
what am I
Like,
gonna do?
if something would have happened to my dad, if he would have gotten it, and I told him, Dad, don't get it.
You would have
Let
felt terrible.
them fire you. No. I would
Is
have
it
felt
his responsibility?
what I would have done is felt terrible that I wasn't strong enough to prevent my dad from getting the
You should
thing that I
have
knew that
faith
was
in-
bad for him.
You should have faith
But-
that
But my whole point is that my dad
that
was
like a proper one gets like regulated and
I understand waiting until there's more data. I really do.
But he was pressured into getting it from his job because he works for the IRS. Okay, and I begged him not to do it. I said, Dad, let them fire you because you will win in court. And now I'm watching Tim Pool, and he has a lawyer on who represents people that are federal employees that got fired from their job for not getting vaccinated. And not only are they getting back pay, they're getting compensation. So they got
Wow.
they're winning these court cases, which means that there are courts finding legally that they had no right to do what they did.
I get
So-
that.
It was a violation of Fourth Amendment.
You
because
can't do
technically
that
It's
to me.
private.
You're trying to
It's between me
protect
and my
people from
doctor.
themselves, and you're trying to protect everybody by lowering spread.
that
Here's
just-
why it lowers
But that
spread.
just
Listen.
means, but that just means the government's too big, man. Because that's not supposed to be.
You shouldn't be able to do that.
It's funny because it's a left wing argument, but my health between me and my doctor is between me and my doctor, and the government shouldn't be going, "Hey, do you have a job? You need the vaccine." It's not that. It's people. The thing is, people ought to take risks with their health if they want to. If you're on that side, just like I think you're taking a risk by taking it. So instead of contentiousness and everyone fighting,
Do we prevent
agree to
people from
disagree.
eating McDonald's for every meal of their life?
Well,
No, but you have to wear a seatbelt and you can't drive 110.
very few people have objections to vaccinating their children, going to university, getting the rounds of vaccines, and that's because they work and
There's long-term
and they've
data,
been
yeah.
tested. Yeah. So
This thing is just it smells and seems like a really big cash grab from the pharmaceutical industry, and it just seems like I think America, the problem is I think we have a corruption problem everywhere, in big business, in big government, everything. And that's the thing. We need to what happens when corruption gets really big, you need to hold corrupt people accountable, and then you need to shrink powers. And that means conservatives should probably be in power. I'm not saying conservatives are great, that they know everything. There's a lot of
them are
piss me
corrupt
off.
too, man.
Exactly.
A lot of the quote unquote conservatives don't vote conservative at all.
Look at Lindsey Graham, dude. Lindsey Graham literally pretty much sabotaged the midterms by coming out and being like, a 15-week abortion ban, when you're like, dude, shut up. What are you doing? But that's because he isn't really a conservative. There's the uniparty. If you start looking at things in a different way of being like, oh, there's people who want power, and they're on the left and the right, and they'll say and do whatever they want, and they're part of businesses, and they're part of government.
And then you have the outliers like Rand and Ron Paul, and then you have like Marjorie Taylor Greene, and like whether you think she's a crazy person or not, what she is an outlier. She's not part
She's
of
an
this
outsider. She's not part of
two-party
the system.
that doesn't vote unanimously on all the same things to approve wars, all the same things to approve bailouts. Like these are the people that we're talking about, man, when we're talking about the deep state or the corrupt, whatever you want to call them. These people that say they're a Republican and Republicans who have values like us will vote for them, and then they go into Congress and they vote for things that like are
Dan Crenshaw.
against what we want. And what they do is they say, "Oh, we believe in strong borders and we want everyone to have jobs." And then they go in and they vote for things that make sure that people can get into the country and take jobs illegally and not have any repercussions. So what I'm saying, man, is like, you believe that we're supporting all these people that like a Ted Cruz or these people, and we don't. Like that we even hold the belief that Donald Trump could be this horrible person that's in there to ruin everything and get everyone on the side of craziness, which has worked.
The biggest thing is question your government. Because if you with government, you're denying history when you don't believe that government can be this huge enemy that takes away your rights and kills people. Because I believe it was last century, the number one thing that killed people was government, with Maoist China, with Stalinist Russia,
Bolsheviks and stuff.
You have all those things. Those governments took all the rights away from their people and just ostracized people to death. They literally starved 4 million people in Ukraine, or then Hitler killed 6 million Jews. And that's the type of stuff that, like, giving these giant power without questioning. That's why America was built, because the whole thing was to go, you're not king. We need to all talk about this and figure it out. And the big thing is respect for each other. I'm glad you're here. It's good to see that we can talk and all that kind of stuff. But I think the biggest thing with the left right now is they think because they have the power, they're always going to have it. And that's not true. And one day the shoe's going to be on the other foot. And I don't want to see anyone I don't want to see any power taken and used against somebody in a way that's not the way it was designed to be.
But one thing that I do hope, and this is completely my opinion, Vinny may not like believe this, but I hope and I do pray, and I've prayed about this multiple times, that there's like a Nuremberg 2.0 for the people that like push this vaccine and like they like hang Fauci publicly live on television.
If they can prove that he
can prove that all this was
the virus.
Why did he need to take money?
Government and people at least have a good side.
Why is he a paid spokesperson?
No, man. You guys have
What do you
fun with
mean?
that.
What do you
Look,
don't know? Don't you
We're
want to
not
know
trying
more?
defeat- Russ feels really defeated, so maybe
no,
we
I'm
should
not
move.
defeated. Fauci is not the problem.
He's a
The virus
scumbag,
is the
dude.
problem. Fine, sure. So listen, there are 3 reasons why this wasn't as rushed as you think. They were working on the RNA technology for 8 years, I believe.
Cancer. It was used for
Number-
cancer.
Fine, they applied it to
Yeah.
this. Number 2, when 98% of people survive coronavirus naturally, right? So whereas something like HIV, most people or a lot less people do. So it's inherently harder to make a vaccine for AIDS, for instance, because you have to really challenge your immune system, and by the time you're able to protect, the vaccine itself could be doing damage, whereas it's a lower threshold to cross with coronavirus. 3, in my humble opinion, they're very good vaccines, and I base this off, you can Google how many times less likely are you to die.
You're using
Who owns
Google, though,
Google?
Russ.
Hold on.
Who owns
Google has an
Google?
See
agenda.
what comes up.
No,
Look
I
at
know, I
multiple
know.
sources.
I know.
And think about this. Let me
Use
explain
something like
how it works.
DuckDuckGo and
No,
see
no,
what you're.
DuckDuckGo sucks too.
I don't
They
know.
sold out.
I don't know.
Brave.
Listen.
Brave is the only thing that you can trust.
Can see? I think it's cool, at least conceptually. You can disagree that it works. or
Maybe
that it's-
conceptually everything's cool. Are you kidding me?
Well, listen.
Well, not everything, but most scientific things are cool.
So yes,
conceptually.
this is a unique platform. Okay, they're not altering your DNA so you worship Satan. They are sending an RNA message to your body.
You're taking a
to
straw man.
build-
That's a straw man.
I know. To build a protein that resembles coronavirus. Coronavirus has about 130 letter RNA code. Instead of putting a little bit of chicken pox or a dead polio in your body, you are telling your body to build these proteins based on about 30 letters or 20
And you don't
letters
think that
of this
that's
coronavirus code.
unnatural and dangerous when it hasn't been properly tested? You don't think
It's-
you don't
yeah,
think
I wouldn't
something that
necessarily wanna be the first
revolutionary is
one.
dangerous when it hasn't been
Well, you
properly
were.
tested?
I wouldn't necessarily want to be the first one. They
But
did
we
30
are.
No, they did 30,000 people in the phase 3 trials.
how long?
Nobody died.
For how long?
Yeah, what happens in 5 years when all of a sudden everyone gets cancer and dies?
What happens if you get COVID and you haven't
COVID's
trained?
not
You
that-
survive, like I did, and
Yeah,
like he
COVID.
did.
COVID. This is the
So
thing.
just so you can appreciate the coolness of it. So basically, what's happening is I'm putting on a mask of Muhammad Ali, right? And I'm breaking into your house, and I've practiced all his moves, and I'm slapping you around a little bit, right? So when the actual Muhammad Ali
Hold on, let's
shows
see where it
up
goes.
outside your house, you not only have all these extra you not only have practice fighting against it, and actual cells that are literally sitting around remembering what he looked like, and actual essentially soldiers, antibodies. Your body creates extra antibodies. To ultimately, what it does is it kills these proteins once it realizes they're not doing anything for you. So when this 130-letter Muhammad Ali shows up, you know to get your guns right away, and you have them. So he doesn't infiltrate your cells and replicate and hijack their inner machinery and replicate until he possibly drowns you,
But they
or makes
did.
you really sick.
But they did because people were still getting it and
But
dying
not as
from it.
much. Not as much. Look it up. I mean,
From what you see, and that's okay, dude. I totally understand being.
CDC,
Those
Hey,
are
it's cool
government organized things,
technology,
though, that we
but
know
what
now
if
are-
it misprograms?
Yeah.
experts, man. Like,
Like-
you
They're
can't
not-
just-
dude, but
the
they're-
government is not the
dude,
boogeyman. The virus.
Yes, they
they
are. Yes,
are.
they are. They are.
Let's
They're.
move on. Let's
they're
move on. I'm sorry.
No, dude, you don't have to be sorry. I'm glad, dude. I'm sure there's other people out there that are going to see this that are going to agree with you. I like having
Too
other
late anyway,
perspectives.
but-
No, dude, it's not
It's
too
not
late.
even
There's-
late, dude.
there's-
It's like
yeah.
It's not
10:30.
too late, but no, I just mean like at this point you've like
You mean
you've either
you've
gotten
picked
the
it.
virus already or
But it's
still couldn't
fine.
hurt.
But this-
I think
this-
it's a good thing.
I
I'll
guess
I'll get a flu shot every year. Maybe I'm a
Right,
pussy, but
this
I'll
is
wear
the
a
thing
seatbelt.
too, man.
You know, like I
If
think
we
it's the
wanna
right
co-
thing to do.
If you want to come at it from another logical standpoint, like he was saying, there's like hundreds of years of science on how viruses work and the best way to protect them. And everybody, including Fauci, was quoted as saying the best way to defend from a virus is to get it because natural immunity is the strongest thing. And then all of a sudden in 2020, that changed. Why?
Oh, I mean, yeah,
You disregarded
natural-
hundreds of years of science.
Here.
Disregarded for no reason. They didn't give a reason why they said this was different. They just decided, and everyone accepted it, that this is different. And they never said why. So explain why it's different.
Natural immunity will give you the best protection, but that doesn't mean you don't want to you don't want to protect.
Can we
yourself
discuss?
first.
Can we
Be
discuss
dangerous.
the Spanish flu? Because I do want to bring up something.
We should move on from this soon. But go ahead. Go ahead.
This
and I want to
is
let Russ respond after
just
that,
his
but then
point.
I think it will be good.
Spanish flu. They always bring up. Well, people were prosecuted and brought to trial for not taking the vaccine during the Spanish flu, and that's a reason to mandate it federally, and make sure that people are held accountable if they don't take it. That was the example that was thrown out all the time. Do you know what happened to people that were brought to trial back then for not taking the vaccine for the Spanish flu? Do you know what the punishment was?
Nah.
They were fined the equivalent today of like $150 one time, and that was it.
I
So,
would have paid that $150 with this vaccine in 2 seconds.
so what I'm trying to say, man, is you can't like force people to take something like that. And when people don't like thoroughly look into the arguments that are being presented to justify those things, then we get to where we are. Where if people, instead of just believing like, oh, well, they told people back to do it in the Spanish flu and they mandated it. So, I mean, I got to do it. They mandated it before. They mandated it again. It's the same thing. I guess it's okay. And they just take it. I like, it breaks my heart how many people that I don't know that have died.
Or lost their job or something. That
I mean that have
I
died.
can see
That have
both
had
ways,
these that have
but
had
the
these
efficacy-
clots. That have had these clots that aren't being explained by anybody. The thing that he brought up, that died suddenly thing, that is super interesting, man,
It's
because it's
crazy.
embalmers.
But
these,
again,
these are embalmers, people that like literally drain the blood and like prepare people for funerals, are finding these non-blood clots in these veins that are like these white fibrous things that they've never seen before. People have been embalmers for 30, 40 years, never seen these things. And it's not just one, it's not just two, it's people all over the country finding these things in dead bodies, and that's never happened before. And it's only started happening in the latter part of 2021, about 5-6 months after these vaccines were rolled out.
and that's why we all have to be. but this is
Correlation
the thing.
doesn't always mean causation.
but we all-
and,
this is
you
the
know, you'd have to verify that stuff somehow. I'm not saying it's inherently questionable. Maybe that's true.
Overall, the thing is that guess what? We all only know what we're told and what we see and what we experience. So regardless, we should all be humble enough to listen to the other side. And that's the thing that I think we lost. And that's the thing with the FBI, I think through Twitter, again, trying to bring everything full circle, lost is the fact that they're like, these people are making jokes. These people have different opinions. Silence them because I'm the FBI. It's messed up because I wouldn't want that for the left. I would never want to not hear someone's side. I would never want to not hear your opinion. You know what I mean? I would never want
can
Dean to tell you to shut up because you're saying something that maybe I don't agree with. That's crazy.
There's a line that you could cross where you're breaking either their rules.
that's not- but that's-
or
that's
you're
from the-
becoming a menace to society.
But from
because
those
of-
Twitter files,
Yeah,
that's
but how
not
many
what
people
happened.
got the vaccine because they were lied to?
Yeah, and that's
and-
unfair and coerced.
And they relied on the government to give them factual information, and that turned out not to be true. And they ended up getting vaccinated, and they regret
Yeah,
it.
it wasn't right to say it would 100% prevent you from getting it or spreading it or getting hospitalized.
No, the whole
or
rhetoric
whatever,
was if you get vaccinated, you will not track the virus, and you will not spread it to
And
other
then they
people.
tried to bribe people, which was weird.
And then it changed to, oh, you won't get it sick.
And then de Blasio being like,
Many
hey,
times
why
it
don't
was
you
like
get
this,
these
so, I mean-
delicious hamburger and these delicious fries? And it was just, dude, so much of it was cringe. But anyways, to break the tension, I showed this video last night, but I still want to show it just because it's real funny. So this is one of my favorite moments from what happened over the summer. I want to do a
Where's
summer
this?
recap. I don't know where this is, but it doesn't really matter.
Oh.
It's just pretty funny.
If you can, point the mic at the computer.
That kid was pretty dumb. You see, it was that one kid.
Yeah, it's pretty crazy. Happy 4th of July.
Just put them underneath.
Just a
that
few
car.
months late.
Just a few months late. But I thought, I don't know. I just wanted to bring that up because I'm trying to break tension. Things got a little heated, but it's good. Anyways, guys,
Yeah,
it
but
was
that's
good.
just to put a bow on that. The thing that's awesome is it got heated, but like never once did Russ like reach across and try to punch me in the mouth. Like no
Oh,
one
Sean.
jumped.
Call you a Nazi.
Right? No, and I think that's like what's been lost, man. Is like people don't understand that like we are like all human beings. We all live together. We all like care about each other, and you can respect people's differences without wanting to ruin their lives. And that's I think that like where it's gotten to now is you have a lot of people who hear an opinion and just want to ruin someone's life over it. Whereas, like, you know, you hear Vinny's opinions and you don't go on social media and be like, this guy's a racist, bigot, fascist, and
I have been
no
a
one.
dick at times.
But what I'm saying is,
I had to evolve.
there's a difference though
Oh, good
between
man,
being a
though.
dick as a friend and then going and like trying to ruin his businesses, like when he had his car business. You know what I mean? And that's what I'm trying to say is like that's where we've gotten, and I think that's why things are as bad as they are. Whereas people can't do this.
We're
anymore.
agreeing, disagreeing. Like, now it'd be different if like I was saying like, no, like seriously, like we should go and just like punch random strangers in the face. I think it'd be funny. You're like, dude, you need to stop doing this. What the fuck?
Well, the funny thing,
You know what I mean?
funny thing is, you say that. That's kind of what it sounds like when the left talks
Sounds like
about.
fun, right?
No, but that's what it sounds like sometimes when the left goes like, "Go punch a Nazi," and you're like, "That's not a Nazi. That's just a conservative, dude. Like, relax."
Yeah, Jesse Waters almost said that about Fauci. It was like,
Dude, I don't like political violence in
I'm
any
not
way
gonna
because
pretend
it's
to know all the
stupid.
possible bad
No, but
about
dude, it's
it.
incredibly
Just-
stupid. Political
part of the
violence
solution, but-
normally nukes your whole idea anyways. Because if you're like, "Oh, I have to force it upon you," it's obviously not that compelling of an idea. You know what I mean? Like, if you tell me something that's revolutionary, that's what's the thing. We're kind of stagnant as a culture. And one of the things like that Elon Musk, I think, does is the fact that he's just like, hey, I've made solving climate change, even if you're someone who doesn't really believe in it that much, really cool because these cars are freaking awesome. Who cares about, for me, I'm someone who I doubt a lot of things of climate change. Kill me. I don't care. Freak out. But guess what? I'm all about Tesla because those cars are awesome. I love the idea of his solar panels because the idea of a milkman that's like a solar panel man is like, I don't know, cool to me. The idea that
Yeah,
I
giant
could
batteries and stuff.
it's great. And the thing is, it can move us closer to nuclear power, which the left is afraid of, but I'm not afraid of at all. If we're going to support these giant electrical grids,
The only problem with nuclear power is when you have a communist regime running it and they lie about everything.
well, yeah, we learned that in Russia and with Chernobyl and stuff. But if we can right the ship, that's the thing. Us talking, us doing this rights the ship because the next time you hear someone say an opinion that is closer to mine, you're not going to be as thrown off by it. Same if I hear opinion that's like yours, you're not going to be thrown off by it because you're going to be like, oh, okay, and we can agree to disagree. Guess what? We still eat food, right? We still need to take showers. We still care about our families.
Shower's optional.
But the things that are make us human haven't gone away. And that's the thing. People look at each other as other, where it's like, I have love for you, man. I have love for everyone in this room. I would never want you to not have food, shelter, to feel loved, regardless of what you believed, even if I couldn't believe it. You know what I mean? That you thought some crazy thing, because I see it as humanity. And that's the thing that I've lost. We look at the other side as, oh my goodness, those people. And it's like, but I think we should be able to tease each other, but it needs to be open. And that's the thing that I feel like the FBI has chosen with what this is, chosen the left and been like, there's nothing funny about what we believe. And it's like, dude, there's things that are funny that I believe. I'm a huge gun advocate. And what's the thing that I said? Prenatal arms. Like the idea of like that's a funny, if a left-wing person was like, dude, you're so pro-gun that you want to like put guns into the uterus to like make sure you can shoot any abortionist that's going to try and come in there, like, and saying that like I'm too pro-gun. It's like, yeah, maybe I am, because I'm someone where it's like, I believe I should be able to have a tank. Maybe that's crazy. You know what I mean? Like
Sacha Baron Cohen did something like that, where he kind of convinced this like, little radical gun enthusiast, like, he's like, yeah, and tell him that we should have like 6-year-olds should have guns too, and he's like, yeah, and he went along with it. It's just like,
but that's what I mean. You can make fun of anything because it goes into the absurd, and it just seems like the left, because they've gone unchecked, has gone into this like absurdness. And it's like, can we get back to reality? Can we get back to the point where people feel, like it's okay to make a joke? Dean, are you good? Are you done? You seem
I'm
like
getting tired.
you seem like you're tapped out.
I think just for balance, we should have one really heated, like, cutthroat argument about something like really light and like not a big deal. I don't know what, but
I don't know what either. The blue M&Ms taste different.
what the fuck did you just say?
Did you just say something about the Jew M&Ms? No. Canceled. No. Anyways, guys, I think should we wrap it up, or does anybody?
Yeah, we're about 3 hours in.
Oh snap! That
Yeah.
went by real quick. All right. Anyways, everyone, I hope you enjoyed the podcast. Thank you, Russ, for coming here, giving us a different opinion. Dean, thank you for coming all the way from where you did, having some good points. You seem like you.
No problem.
Yeah, you seem.
Well, I drove 3 hours to get over here, so
So you're burned out a little.
a little bit.
It's all good, man. Mike, thank you. You added a lot. Normally, you kind of sit behind, but it was good. I think it was really good. Everyone, going to try and keep doing this more and more. Follow us on not Instagram. Oh, no, we do it. We have an Instagram. Follow us on Instagram. Follow us on Twitter. But most of all, give a like, share, all that kind of stuff. Share this with friends. And I hope you enjoyed it and you didn't get too offended because it's called the Pro Stupid Podcast. So have a good night, and thank you for watching.
I'ma change the planet with no effort. I'ma take it to another level. I made some mistakes, I should be dead. But I still woke up this morning, I'm too blessed.